All right, I think we live everywhere. Go ahead and turn the stream on. What's up, everybody? I'm about to go live. Well, I am live. I'm tripping. About to do a coding challenge. So it's been a week. About to do another coding challenge today. Doing a medium from KG.codes called Maximum Subarray. If you watch my channel, you know I get on here and do these every week or so. And so yeah, about to do another one. I'm in Atlanta right now. The Falcons, let me see, the Falcons still winning. Fourth quarter, 4 minutes, 17 seconds. So I can start watching them for a while. I just been watching them on my phone, so the stress is low. Hopefully they won't blow this game, and I can do this coding challenge. By the time I'm done with this coding challenge, hopefully the Falcons win the game. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, hopefully I can do this coding challenge successfully with people's help. This one I pretty much have memorized. Like, it's not one that you can just kind of do with intuition, I don't think. I think this is one that you would have had to have done before and know the algorithm. It will at least know the algorithm that the solution lends itself to. I don't actually know if this algorithm, this solution I have, works on LeetCode. I don't know. So we'll see. That might be a surprise. Like, I haven't actually tried it on LeetCode.com. So let me know if you can hear me. If you're in the chat, I see some people might have jumped in on TikTok. I'm live on all the channels: YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, X. What else? Instagram. I'm live on all these channels at the same time. So if you want to switch to another channel, follow me somewhere else, you can do that. But yeah, other than that, I'm about to go ahead and do this coding challenge. And then after I get done with the coding challenge, I'll probably answer a few questions. Joshua Badillo, what's going on, man, on YouTube? Looks like we got Aspen, Strategize, and T Hill. What's going on? Tipo, what's going on TikTok? Yeah, anyway, if you want to switch to another channel, you can. I'm on all the channels. About to get started here soon. Let a couple people jump in. Maximum Subarray. It's a medium problem. And some might come on here and say, like, they don't think this is a medium problem. I definitely think it's a medium problem. I don't think this is one you could figure out with just plain intuition. It has an algorithm that goes to it. I can't remember the name of it. It has like one of those algorithms named after a person. So that makes the problem a little harder, because it means you kind of really have to have memorized it. So Ricardo, how would you solve this? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and solve this. Okay, Rare Bruce, my brother-in-law's on here. What's going on, man? I hope that's you. What's going on? I don't see a picture on there. I hope that's you, man. Don't you just ignore the negatives? No, that's not actually the case. You actually don't ignore the negatives, but that's a good idea to at least think through. But yeah, hopefully this will be a fun one to go through. I'll answer some questions while I'm doing it. I'll talk through my thought process, and just go ahead and get started. Like, there's no point in to keep waiting. Hope people join in. Yeah. So I mean, who said that? Carlos said, do you just ignore the negatives? In a way, you kind of ignore the negatives, but we'll see how as we go through it. This one actually is kind of hard to talk through because it's not an intuitive solution, to be honest. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I see some people on TikTok got some answers there. I'm sure a lot of people have already done this one before, and some people haven't. So everybody's at different levels, including myself. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. I know I keep saying that. We're gonna go ahead and jump into it now. So LeetCode.com. That's the site that I'm using for doing these coding challenges. These coding challenges are usually given on big tech interviews, mid-tech interviews, even some startup interviews. Coding challenges are one of the things that historically have been used to interview software developers for jobs. It started with Google. A lot of other defamed companies, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, Microsoft, they started adopting that concept too. The company I work for, like a mid-level tech company, adopted the concept. Yes, we're in a time of AI, but these questions still do get asked. And as long as they're still getting asked in interviews, at least as far as I know, the last like couple weeks ago, I know someone that interviewed for a big tech company and they were still asking these. So I'm gonna keep doing them as long as they keep asking them, and help myself practice, help people online practice, and hopefully it's helpful to people. And it just helps you become a better developer anyway, knowing data structures and algorithms. So it's a win-win either way. So even if you use AI, like knowing this stuff still can be helpful to be able to properly prompt the AI and properly review what the AI is doing. So all the way around. So anyway, I'm just rambling. LeetCode.com is the site that I use. LeetCode.com. If you want to check out this problem on that site, you can follow along. It's called Maximum Subarray number 50. Maximum Subarray number 53. It's a medium level problem, so they have easy, mediums, and hard problems on LeetCode.com. And this problem goes as such: given an integer array nums, find the subarray with the largest sum and return its sum. So you need to find the subarray with the largest sum and return its sum. It's gonna make more sense with the example, I think. Example 1. This is an array data structure. It has -2, 1, -3, and so on. The output they want to give back is 6, so I guess that's its sum in this case. And this subarray here, 4, -1, 2, and 1, has the largest sum of 6. So what's happening here is telling me that I need to look at the array of nums and find the subarray that, when added together, gives me the largest possible sum. And they're basically saying that this subarray here, a subarray has to be some contiguous sub list of the main list. So you look at this list of numbers, it has to be some group like this, or some group like this, or some group like this. It has to be contiguous in order. And so 4 plus -1 gives you 3, plus 2 gives you 5, and then that gives you 6 plus 1. And they're basically saying that's the largest possible sum you can get from a subarray. I don't know why I keep saying subarray in this array right here. I don't know what's going on. It's late though. Must be tired or something. But anyway, number 2, this is just an array with just 1 in it. So of course the answer is just gonna be 1 in that case. And in this one, the whole thing itself is the actual largest possible sum. So the whole thing creates the largest possible sum. And so there's constraints down here. If you're in an interview, they may give you these constraints. Sometimes they don't give you the constraints, but the general best practice in an interview is if they don't give you the constraints, then you want to start practicing these problems so you get used to asking for the constraints. And what the constraints are is like, based on my inputs, what are the constraints of my input? And in this case, I only got one input, which is this nums array. And they're basically giving me the information saying that the length of that array, like how many things are in it, is always greater than 1. So I always have this case where there's 1 in it. So I don't have to handle the case when there's nothing in the array, because there always will be 1. And it's less than or equal to 10 to the 5th power. And in this case, the language I'm going to use, JavaScript, basically this is just telling me that like I'm not going to have a problem with like some sort of overflow issue or memory issue with 10 to the 5th power. Array and JavaScript can hold that amount of data safely. And then it's basically saying the number inside of here, this is important, the number at I, which that just means each of these numbers in here, can be negative to the 4th power or positive to the 10th, or sorry, negative 10 to the 4th power or positive 10 to the 4th power. So these numbers, is important to see that these numbers can be negative or positive all the way to these bounds. And they're just basically saying that these numbers aren't going to overflow the integer in the programming language I'm using. It depends on what programming language you're using. You have to just make sure that these constraints aren't going to like cause an issue. Because if you ask the interviewer and they say, yeah, there's no bounds to the numbers, then you're going to have to program into your algorithm to say, okay, if this number is too high, then I need to do some error checking to make sure that my program doesn't cause an like runtime error or blow up. In this case, the constraints are pretty solid, so I don't have to worry about anything like that. But that's why these constraints are here in the interview, or you would need to ask for them in an interview. Like basically, it's not too hard. Like whatever your input is, you just want to ask questions about it. Like how long can this array be? What can these numbers in here be? What are the upper and lower bounds of these numbers? Can these be only numbers or can they be something else? So part of the problem gives you constraints, and then sometimes there's extra constraints that you have to ask about. So anyway, this is the problem. I hope that makes sense to people. I know I'm not reading the comments. I'm just trying to read through the problem first. I'll try to catch some comments. Oh yeah, a lot of people are mentioning Kadane's algorithm on TikTok. Yeah, for sure. Like, I think you probably already done this problem. Now, y'all let me know in the comments, would Kadane's algorithm be something that you would need to learn beforehand before you know how to do this problem? Or would you be able to, like, through simple intuition, come up with that? I don't think so. I think this is one of those problems where you would have had to have either done this problem before or had to have studied Kadane's algorithm at some point to know how to do this problem. And I think that's why it's a medium, because it really doesn't seem like a hard problem on the onset, but I just think the algorithm you have to use is not intuitive, I guess, to me. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to go ahead and try to get into this. So, like, if you're in an interview, you'll read this problem definition. You'll ask clarifying questions to the interviewer. You want to make sure that you understand the problem. Like, if you don't understand the problem, there's no point in keeping going or whatever. No point in keep going if you don't understand the problem. FL Sins finally some non-brain dead content. Appreciate seeing this. Hey, I appreciate you saying that, man. That's motivation for me to keep doing this. That there's some appreciation. Like, I want to see more stuff like this being done too. I mean, there's a lot of great content on all the different platforms. You just have to find it. It's not hard to find sometimes. But appreciate that, man. Anyway, we're gonna keep going. So if you ever seen me do these before, and if I'm in a real interview, what I like to do is try to think through the solution in my head first, or some potential solutions, and then figure out, maybe even write some pseudocode. That was more of like a whiteboarding thing back in the day when you had to do the interviews in person, where you actually write like pseudocode on the board. But now that most of the interviews get done, or a lot of the interviews get done online, or like through Skype or Zoom, or not Skype anymore, but Zoom and all the different stuff, Google Meets. A lot of it, you're just kind of writing the code, and you can write pseudocode, but you might just type it out. But anyway, I like to try to talk to the interviewer about my approach, and only then jump to the code. Because I'm saying this because you want to give the interviewer a chance to help guide you. Now, some might not, some will, but you at least want to give them a chance. You want to make sure you're on the same page about what you're about to do, so that when you start writing the code, they can kind of follow along. And if they're going to give you hints, that's really the main way, is that if you're being communicative with them, and you're letting them know what you're going to do before you're doing it, and asking them, hey, does that sound good to you? And sometimes they'll give you like a clue even in that. Like, they may say, yeah, that sounds like a great choice, what you're doing. Or they may say, did you think about this? Did you think about this? Or how are they going to work with this? And they may give you the hint you need if you're going down the wrong direction. Now, if you just get an interview and you just start jumping straight to the code, it's a less chance that they're going to stop you if you're in the wrong direction. And they're just going to kind of watch you burn, crash and burn, and like, it's only so much hints they can give, So anyway, that's why I'm kind of spending all this time talking about the interview process, because the interview process itself is just as important as doing the problem. You can't just come on there and just do the problem and not talk or not say anything or not follow the flow, and not give the positive signals that the interviewer wants to see. And so doing the problem great is, that will definitely, you got to get the problem right, but you also want to make sure you're showing the interviewer the right thing. So, and it helps you do the problem. It helps you understand the problem. So anyway, think through the solution. So, like I said, with this one, man, because it's this Kadane's algorithm, I forgot the name, so I appreciate y'all bringing it up. Because it's Kadane's algorithm, when I first came to this problem, I didn't have any kind of intuition to do Kadane's algorithm. I'm not just in my head just thinking like, do Kadane's. I don't even know. I don't even remember the name Kadane. I don't even know who that is. Like, I'm pretty sure I probably learned it in college courses, but I forgot it at this point. And so how I'm thinking about it is like, I'm like thinking, how can I get these? How can I find this out of this? And the only thing I'm thinking from my mind is basically try every single combination and then just track which gives me the largest sum. So like, I mean, it would take forever. Even doing it by hand, it would take forever. Like, see, like 1 and 2, if that gives you the biggest sum. See if this gives you the biggest sum. Like, try all of these and then start at 1 and try like this one, and then try this one, and then try this one, and then try this one, and then start at 3 and then try this one and try this one. Like, and just try all of these. Like, I would start at each one of these and then try each of the sub arrays behind that number that I'm at. And then I would just keep a track of what's the largest sum I've ever seen. And then I would return that. Now, to me, that's very expensive. Like, I'm basically looping through this. And then on each one of these, I'm building a new subarray. Or sorry, there. And I'm just trying all of these. And what I forgot to say is that every time I look at a subarray, I'm adding all the numbers together too, to see if it makes my largest sum that I've ever seen. But that's very expensive because like each one of these, I have to basically check every single combination of subarrays as I go in order through this list. That's very inefficient. I can already tell you that, like, from a time complexity perspective, it's not a great algorithm. Like, I think it's probably quadratic. It's n squared. Y'all let me know in the comments if y'all know what that would be if I basically loop through this, but on every single interval, I also checked each subarray. So like when I got to 2, the first one, I would check all of these subarrays and I would add them together and just keep a track of the highest sum that I've seen. I would just update it if I seen the one that was higher than the one I seen before. And then I would go to 1 and I would try this subarray, try this one. So it would be like a diminishing size each one that I get to, but I still think it's considered a big O of n squared quadratic time complexity, which usually isn't acceptable in an interview as far as like the final answer. Now, the reason I'm bringing up this solution, because if you're in a crunch in an interview and you don't know anything better, it is okay to do the brute force solution to get something, because the interviewer might see the way you think, see the way you solution, and it may still give you a passing score on the interview, or a passing interview, even if you don't get the most optimal solution. But it just depends. Some interviewers, some companies, they're like, you need to get to the optimal solution and know why you got to the optimal solution, or we're gonna fail you. So other interviews, they want to just see how you work. They don't care. So brute force solutions are not always bad. So anyway, that's how I thought about it in my mind. Now, Kadane's algorithm, after I did that solution and it was terrible and it was very expensive, I'm not going to do that one tonight. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to go straight to the optimal solution. What I found out is that there's a more optimal solution, which some of you guys are mentioning, Kadane's algorithm, which actually allows me to do this a lot in a better time complexity than just brute forcing it, just looping through and then checking every single subarray. And so with Kadane's algorithm, what I can actually do is I can still just loop through once, but what I can do is use a couple variables to keep track of things. So like I said, I can keep track of the largest sum I've ever seen. So put that in a variable, keep track of the largest sum I've ever seen. But I can also keep track of a current sum as I loop through this array. And what I can do is when I get to 1, I can add these together and update the current sum. And when I get to the next thing and add it to it, what I can actually do is check if the current sum that I have, if the number that I'm currently on is greater than the current sum that I currently have. If it is, then I actually want to start over and I just want to ignore these numbers before and update the current sum to the current number that I'm on. And the reason you want to do that is because when you think about it, when you're trying to find the greatest subarray, like here, if this is -2 plus 1 gives you -1 plus -3 is -4. And then when I get to 4, I'm at -4 and I add 4, I'm at 0. But if I just started here, I would be at 4. So instead of being at 0, I might as well just start my subarray here at 4 because these are just useless. So I might as well start my subarray at 4. And so that's what Kadane's algorithm is doing, is basically saying, okay, if you get to 4 and your current sum up to that point is less than the number that you're on, then go ahead and just update your current sum to this number, and then just keep going from there and create a new subarray there. Or you don't even really have to create a subarray. You just start from that point, update the current sum to this, and start a new current sum going from there. And if I run into something again that's higher than the current sum, then I just do the same update. And by the time I get to the end of this loop, I'm also, going to keep looking at my current sum and see if it's greater than the max sum that I have. And if it is, I'm going to update it. And by the time I get here, I will have a max sum value that I can return, and we're good to go. Like, I have the answer of the subarray with the largest sum. Because the thing here about this problem, they only want you to return the sum. They don't care that you return the subarray. So you really don't even need to keep track of what the subarray is. Not in this problem. Maybe maximum subarray 2 might make you actually return this. But in this case, we only need to return 6. So we don't need to keep track of subarrays and all that stuff. We really just need to use Kadane's algorithm in order to just build the sum that we need. And so I know I talked a long time, but I probably wouldn't talk that much in an interview because I was kind of like doing like a meta version of like an interview where I was actually talking about the interview process as I'm doing the interview or whatever. But these are things that you really do need to explain what you're doing to the interviewer. And so that's why I practice this on here with y'all, and why I practice this when I'm practicing for interviews, when I'm going for interviews. Like, you need to be communicative and explain what you're doing. And after you explain what you're doing, you may ask, like I said earlier, like, hey, is this a good solution? Blank, blank, blank. They may say yes, they may say no, they may not try to help you at all, but it just depends on the interviewer and the company. So anyway, I know y'all tired of waiting now, so we jumping over to the code. So I'm gonna slide this over here, LeetCode.com. Like I said earlier, we're at LeetCode.com. If you can see that at the top, if anybody wants to ever use this site. But yeah, you slide this over here, and LeetCode.com has the problem, has the function already scaffolded out for you, and they want you to enter it inside of here. And this is nums from earlier. So this is my input. This is the input here. So the example of this could be passed in, this could be passed in, this could be passed in, whatever, anything under the constraints could be passed in there. I just, assume that, or not even assume, but that those are the possible limits of the input of nums. And then I'm going to use JavaScript. I go over this every time I get on here. Everybody's like, use Python, use Python. My career right now, I'm using mostly JavaScript. Professionally, I'm using mostly JavaScript on my side projects. When I interview, I use JavaScript because I go for JavaScript jobs most of the time. At least the last time I was doing an interview run, I was going for JavaScript jobs. So I wanted to do my coding challenges in JavaScript to show the interviewer that I'm strong with JavaScript and not, some other language that I wouldn't be using day to day in the job. So JavaScript's a great language, just like Python. I know people are going to say, do it in Python, but JavaScript's easy. If you can read Python, you can read JavaScript. So, I encourage people to be more agnostic to programming languages. Like, use the best tool for the job. Be a little bit, be able to switch languages if you ever needed to. Like, don't get so allegiant to a language that you can't even read the code of another language. If you can read Python, you can read JavaScript pretty much. So, and you can write JavaScript at that point. So we're going to use JavaScript tonight, and it's going to be great, and everybody's going to love it. And yeah, that's how we're going to rock out with this tonight. But yeah, so anyway, in JavaScript, the one thing I want to do, LeetCode puts var, I want to put const, because you want to, declaring, it's not really best practice to use var anymore in JavaScript. You want to declare your functions variables is either const or let. In this case, I want to declare it as const so that this will never be can never be redeclared again as something else, or with var it'll hoist it up to the global scope, which can cause, if this was a real program, it could cause like unpredictable behavior in the application. One thing, you know, if I ever had, like I use var and I ever had like redeclared this somewhere else, and then it could just screw everything up. That's why they just say just use const if you know that this is the only this should be the only instance of this within this scope. And so yeah, const or let is what you want to use. So somebody always commented when I first was doing these, LeetCode puts let, or what did it put, var, I'm sorry. And somebody always comments on it like, why are you using var? And it's like, it's not me, it's LeetCode.com. So anyway, yeah, so we're gonna start the problem here. And so like I said, like when I talk through the solution, we're gonna use this Kadane's algorithm. The first thing I talked about is that we need to have like a maxSum, because that's what's gonna get returned. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the bottom and just say maxSum is gonna get returned. Like that's what so I don't forget to do that. That's our output. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get that out the way. What I'm gonna set it equal to right now, I can't set it to 0 because the maxSum, because our constraints say that these numbers can be negative 10 to the 4th power. Like these can be all negative. Like these could be anything super negative. So my sum could actually, my output, my maximum sum could be negative. So I can't start that off at 0. That's what some may think. That may be I think that's probably a common problem with this. And so what I want to do is actually, I want to start it off at something lower than the lowest possible negative number in JavaScript. And you can do that in JavaScript. It's different in different languages, but in JavaScript, I think it's negative. I could be getting this wrong. I think it's negative infinity. I think it's number.negative infinity to get the most negative number possible. Because right now I don't have a maxSum, so I'm just gonna set this equal to the most negative number possible, and I'm gonna update it later. And then, like I said, I want to keep a track of a currentSum, and I'm gonna do the same thing with that one. This is just something that you have to know in your language. And there's different ways to do this too. I don't even think you have to do it this way, but this is the way I at least I did this problem in the past, I think. I could be going, I don't know, I could be going the wrong direction with that, but I think that's the way I did it before. I haven't done it in a little while. I haven't coded it out in a couple years, so we're gonna go with that for now. And then at some point we gotta loop through these nums. So I'm gonna say let num of nums. This is how you loop through an array in Java, or one of the ways you loop through an array in JavaScript. Oh yeah, and I meant to put this at the top for people that are joining. So at the top up there, you should see the prompt of what the problem is, because I know people might just jump in the middle of this and they're like, what the heck are you doing? What is even the problem? So now the problem's at the top. So y'all can see that I forgot to do that earlier. But yeah, the problem's at the top now. So anyway, I'm gonna loop through these. And then what I say I was gonna do, basically, as I loop through, I wanna update this currentSum. So I think I wanna say plus equals in JavaScript. That just means whatever I'm updating this by adding something to it, and what I want to add to it is the current num. It's the current number in the loop. It's one of the numbers in here. And the other thing, as I said, I wanted to do with Kadane's algorithm is whenever I find that the current number that I'm on is higher than the current sum that I've gotten to that point, after I've added that number, of course, if it's higher, then I actually want to reset the currentSum to whatever that number is. So this should be pretty simple logic, like an if statement. So if, I think it would be like num is greater than currentSum, and in this case currentSum is going to be negative infinity, so I'm starting off pretty, I mean, it's going to be so low, like, yeah, well, it's going to be close to negative infinity. I'm going to add something to it, and then it's going to be, the first time this runs, this is always going to go into here. And I'm going to update currentSum to equal to num. So, because it's going to be my new currentSum is equal to the number since it was higher than the last currentSum. And then next, the last thing I want to do is I need to take care of this because I haven't even done nothing with this yet. I think I need to update it based on if, yeah. So based on if, so in JavaScript, you can use this max. It allows you to compare two things and return the one that's higher. So I actually want to compare the current maxSum to the currentSum, or the maxSum to the currentSum. And so what max will do is it'll compare these two and just give me the one that's high, and set maxSum to the one, it'll return the one that's higher. Like set maxSum to the one that's higher. So if maxSum is still higher than currentSum, it'll just be the same. If currentSum is higher, it'll give me a new maxSum that's equal to currentSum. And then when I get out of this loop at the end, I should have the new maxSum. And I think that's basically the logic. I think that's basically the logic that I have. I think it's basically what I talked through. And somebody, I kind of got distracted. Somebody said num is never going to be bigger than currentSum. I don't think that's true, because you may be thinking like there's no negative numbers. There's negative numbers in here. And so it is possible. So like if I got 2, now my currentSum is -2. Add 1 to it, my currentSum is -1. Add -3 to it, my currentSum is -4. Add 4 to -4, you get 0. But now num is 4, and 4 is greater than 0. So that means num can be greater than the currentSum when I've added all this stuff together to make the currentSum. So I think you may be thinking about like when it's not, when it's, if the numbers were all positive numbers. So because there's negative numbers in here, it kind of makes it a little bit more challenging. So anyway, I think this is right. Like, so the thing I would do here at this point in the interview, I would go over my code and make sure everything was as I expected. Yeah, I'm setting these. I mean, this is pretty simple. I think negative infinity, make sure I didn't misspell that. It's number dot. Yeah, I think that's the right syntax. And that's one thing you want to be very careful in these interviews. Pick the right language, whether that's Python, JavaScript. That's why I pick language I'm super comfortable with, because you don't want to be getting stuck on syntax. Like if I was interviewing, I'm not actively interviewing right now. If I was actively interviewing right now, I would like know this stuff like by the back of my hand. Like I would have went and studied and make sure I memorized every little piece of syntax I need for these coding interviews. Like you don't want to be getting stuck on that. The problems are hard enough. You don't want to be getting stuck on syntax. So anyway, for let nums of instead of in JavaScript of nums, that's right. Then here I'm adding it to it, and here I'm saying if num is greater than currentSum, like I said, like I was just explaining over there, if num is greater than currentSum, then I want to set the currentSum equal to num. And then here I'm actually just updating the maxSum based on the currentSum. And then after I get out of this loop, I should just be able to return the maxSum, and I should be straight. I feel like I'm missing something, but we'll see. So anyway, I mean, the code looks good as far as I can tell. Yeah, it looks good as far as I can tell. So when you get to this point in the interview, some interviewers will let you run the code. Some won't let you run the code. Some will just have you doing this in a notepad, and there's nowhere to run the code. Some interviewers will have you running this in the IDE, where you can actually run the code against some inputs and test outputs and see if you got the problem right. But some interviewers will make, like I think one of my Amazon interview questions, they did that where I didn't run the code. I just explained it to them. Airbnb, I think the first round of Airbnb interview I did, I had to explain without running the code. They just put up a notepad and I just wrote the code. I didn't have any help, no syntax help, no IntelliSense, nothing. And so in that case, you actually need to explain by hand that you need to prove to them that your solution works. So since I got a little bit of time, I'm going to do that before I run the code. I'm actually going to, how I do that is I take a sample input and I put comments at the top, and I just keep track of all the possible variables in my program. So right now this would be like, these would be negative infinity to start with. Well, actually, they wouldn't be nothing now. I'm just going to leave them like that because they haven't run yet. So they're not in anything. They're undefined or whatever, or just non-existent. And then there's num is a certain value. And yeah, I think that's all my values. So I would actually prove to the interviewer that my algorithm works without running it, which you might have to do that in an interview. It is I would say probably maybe 30% of my interviews I had to do that. But I was going for all big tech jobs, Airbnb, Microsoft, Amazon. Who else did I interview for? Like, yeah, it was a lot of, I wouldn't say all, but like a lot of the bigger companies are the ones that did that. So anyway, let's see. Oh yeah, Stripe, Square, Stripe. Yeah, I get them confused sometimes, but I think I interviewed for both of those. But anyway, and I don't work at any of them, which is crazy. And not because I failed the interview. I failed some of them. I didn't fail all of them. Some of them I just didn't take the job. But anyway, that's beside the point. But yeah, so I'm gonna run this through my program and see if I get the right output. The expected output I should get for this is 6. So I should return 6. So let's see. Let's just run through this real quick, and I promise I'm gonna run the code in a minute. I promise y'all. I'm not gonna leave y'all hanging. But this is very important, I feel like, to the whole interview experience that is possible that you can have. I want to try to prepare myself and prepare people that are watching for like all the possibilities, or not all, but like more of the possibilities in just a simple just flow that you may think that it may be. So anyway, num starts off with this in it. I hit this line, it gets set to maxSum gets set to negative infinity, so I'm gonna set that there, and that's basically what I'm doing. As I run through the program, I'm just gonna update these variables up here, and maxSum is gonna be maxSum by the end of this. When I get to this line, maxSum should be 6. I should have set this to 6. So let's see how it goes. So I set this, I hit this line. I'm just going line by line. Now I'm gonna hit this loop, which is going to give me the first num out of the nums array. And so the first num out of the nums array is -2. I'm going to set this to -2 because I just pulled this out. currentSum plus or equal to -2. So I don't know what this negative infinity number is. So I'm just going to put this like on the end here just to denote what's happening, so I know that got added to it. So that's what happened here, just plus -2 is what happened here. So that's what currentSum is. Now, is num greater than currentSum? Num is -2. It is greater than currentSum because negative infinity is something crazy. It's like -2 billion, or I don't know, it's something crazy, like 280 billion or something crazy. So I know that this is less than, that num is greater than currentSum. So I'm going to go into here and actually update currentSum to num. And so I quickly updated that to num here. And then maxSum, is maxSum the highest or is currentSum the highest? Well, maxSum is negative infinity. That's the lowest you can possibly be. And then, negative infinity actually is not -2 billion something. I think negative infinity is like actual like infinity, because I think there's a whole nother variable you can use for the most negative number possible. So I may be wrong there, but anyway, I know it's less than maxSum is less than the currentSum, which is -2. So I'm actually gonna update maxSum to -2. So like my guy that said earlier, is it possible for one of the nums to be greater than the currentSum or the maxSum at any point? Yeah, so like I already see 1 is higher than it, 4 is higher than it, 2 is higher than, like any of these positive numbers is higher. So because we got negative numbers in here, it's kind of have to think about it a little bit different. So anyway, I've gotten to this point, and now I'm going through this loop again. I get to my second item, which is 1. So I'm going to update num to 1. I'm going to add the num to the currentSum. So 1 plus -2 will give you -1. So that's what I did here. Then I'm going to check again. Is num greater than currentSum? The num is 1. Is it greater than currentSum? Yes, num is greater than currentSum. Num is greater than currentSum. Yeah, num greater than currentSum. Yep. So I'm actually going to update currentSum to num. So I'm going to update currentSum to 1. And then is 1 greater than the currentSum, greater than the current maxSum? Yeah, because it's -2. So this is actually going to get updated to 1. So the biggest sum I've seen so far is 1. And I'm going to come up here again. I'm going to pull out the -3. -3. I'm going to come here and add -3. That's going to send currentSum to -2. That's this line right here. Because it was 1. So it's going to send that to -2. Is num greater than currentSum? Well, num is -3, so it's not greater than currentSum. So I'm actually going to skip this line here. I'm going to keep this at -2. And then I'm going to see, has this greater than my maxSum? No, my maxSum is 1. So the currentSum is not greater than it. So I'm actually going to come back to the top of my loop, go to 4. And so something's going to happen here with 4, of course. So I'm going to add 4 to my currentSum, -2, which will give me, wait, that don't seem right. -2 plus 1, -1. Oh, wait, I think did I screw up something? Because I got negative. Did I screw up something? Because then shouldn't this negative, I was -2, and then plus 1, -1. And then I'm trying to figure out how did I get, then when I did -3, did I add? Yeah, so this was 1. Oh, I started over at 1. Yeah, okay, I started over at 1. So that makes sense, yeah. Okay, so then this is, now I gotta figure out where I was at. So, yeah, num is 4, and then I'm on this line here. Num plus currentSum would give me negative, so that's 4 plus -2, which would give me 2. So I'm actually gonna update currentSum to 2, and then go here. Is num greater than currentSum? Num is 4. It is greater than currentSum, so I'm gonna update currentSum to what num is, to 4. Then that's definitely the maximum that I've ever seen. So I'm actually gonna update this to 4. And I'm going to come back again. -1 is the next num. So I'm going to add that to currentSum. -1, that'll make that 3. Is num greater than? No, it's not, because it's -1, so it's not greater than. So I'm going to skip this line. It's not the maxSum I'm seeing. So I'm going to come back up here again and make this to 2. And then currentSum plus, yeah, currentSum plus num will give me 5. So that will update this to 5. Is num greater than currentSum? No, so I'm not gonna do that. And then I'm gonna update the maxSum. Yeah, because 5. Yeah, so this will actually update to 5 this time. Then I'm at the end of my loop, so I'm actually gonna go to 1. Add 1 to 5 will give me 6 here. Is num greater than? No, it's still 1. So then, but then I've seen 6 now, so I'm actually gonna update this to 6. And then I'm gonna loop again, and that's gonna give me a -5 the next time. So this is where I'm gonna start to be done. I think getting close to being done. -5 off of 6 is gonna actually give me down to 1. Is num greater than? No. Is less than? It's not the greater. So then I'm gonna go to the next one, which is 4. Sorry, it's gonna be 4 right here. So that's gonna give me a 5 when I add it here. Is 5, is num greater than currentSum? No. And so I'm gonna skip this, and then it's not the maximum. So then I'm gonna break out to here. What is maxSum? maxSum is equal to 6. And the solution is what I was supposed to get for that is 6. So that means I've hopefully proven to the interviewer without even running the code that when I input nums of this array, I return 6. That's the result that I get down here. It's the output I get is 6. So I've basically proven to them Get rid of that. I've proven to them that this algorithm works without running it. So I know that probably was boring to a lot of people, but you might have to do that in an interview. But now we're going to at least get to the fun part where I'm actually going to run the code against LeetCode. I'm not going to talk too much this time. Just going to run it. And yeah, so LeetCode lets you run this against, they'll let me run it against these 3 test cases, example 1, 2, and 3. And so I'm just going to hit run and see if I get the right results. Yeah, so that was the test case that I just did by hand, was this one. I get output 6. If it's just 1, then I just get 1 like I'm supposed to. And if it's this, then I get 23 like I'm supposed to. And so that's basically, you might do that in an interview and you just be done. Like if he passes all the test cases, then the interviewer be like, okay, just move on to another problem, or you're done with the interview, or whatever the case is. The other thing you have to talk about is space and time complexity. So space and time complexity is one of the reasons why they ask these problems. These big tech companies ask these problems because they deal with massive scale. And so their algorithms that they write, a lot of times, these problems seem really trivial, but some of the algorithms written at these companies can actually, when they're inefficient, can actually cost the company millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever the case is. Because if you have an algorithm that's inefficiently using resources like CPU, RAM, I didn't mean to hit my mic like that. CPU, RAM, API tokens, something that costs money. Like if it's using too much CPU, then now you can have issues where either your machine crashes from CPU utilization issues, or your infrastructure has to horizontally scale in order to support the spike in CPU usage. And in that case, it costs the company more money because your system is auto scaling. And then once it gets to the max of the auto scaling that's allowed, or whatever the case, then it'll just crash. And so the same with RAM. If you're using too much runtime memory, then you can also either have to vertically scale your machine by buying more RAM, buying more CPU, or you have to horizontally scale, which both these things still cost more money. Or worst case, if it doesn't scale automatically, or you don't scale it, it'll just crash, and then your users won't. You'll just lose money because your users can't access your system or whatever. So that's why time space complexity matters. It's not about these trivial problems, but it's when these algorithms actually touch expensive resources like databases, RAM, CPU, API tokens, expensive operations, AI machine learning stuff where you're crunching millions and millions of records, like where your nums is very expensive. So, or not expensive, I'm sorry, the wrong word, like very a lot of data, where it's like terabytes of data or something that you have to process through your algorithm or whatever the case is. It's just a simplified version of the problems that these companies deal with. Now, do I agree with them asking these type of trivial questions in the interview? I don't really agree with it, but that's what they decided to ask a long time ago. And so that's what a lot of them still ask. Hopefully they're changing, but that's what they ask. And they had a good, it's not just a dumb reason that they asked those questions, that's what I was trying to explain. So anyway, time and space complexity are a way to describe your algorithm as it pertains to scale. So how does your algorithm scale as the input scales, as the input gets larger and larger? How does your algorithm perform as far as space and time complexity? Time complexity being like the amount of operations which affect CPU usage. Space complexity means how much data storage or how much runtime memory had to be used as far as data structures that you had to create as your input scaled. And so and how you define that is something called Big O notation. I'm not going to go through Big O notation. That's something you can go learn about. You have to learn about on your own if you're going to do these type of problems. The interviewer will ask you about space and time complexity if they ask you one of these problems, and you need to know how to answer them. You can't just do the problem and not know how your algorithm performs as far as space and time complexity. And so how you do that is it's always focused on the size of the input. And in this case, the size of our input, we kind of got a clue to that in the constraints. It's the length of the nums. It's like how many, like this could be 1 like it is here, like it is here. It could be like 10 like it is here, or 9 how it is here. Or it could be 10 to the 5th power in this problem, Or if this wasn't in this problem, it could be a million or a billion or whatever the case is. It could be something way larger. How does my algorithm scale as that size of that input increases? Does it perform exponentially worse? Does it perform quadratically worse? Like as the input grows, does it start performing slower and slower or more operations? Or does it perform uniformly or linearly? Like every time I add something new to the list of numbers, is it my algorithm just kind of scales uniformly with however much you're adding into it is how the algorithm performs, which is more acceptable. Now, if it's performing exponentially, like as many things as I put in it, I'm doing exponentially as many operations, that's not a performant algorithm. Like if each of these things is costing me some sort of resource or money or whatever the case, and I'm having to process it exponential amount of times, then that's going to cost my company money or issues or cause bugs or whatever to cause, major incidents or whatever. So anyway, big O notation, you want to focus on the size of the input. And here, what in your algorithm is, as far as time complexity, what in your algorithm is causing more operations based on the size of the input? And loops are a really important thing to look at when you're looking at time complexity, because this thing is looping for every single number, which is directly correlated to the length of nums. And so this whole thing is going to run that many times. And so let's call, in big O notation, you usually call the size of your input n, quote unquote n. And so let's say this is the size of this input is n, the nums.length is n. So this is going to run n times. However big this is how many times this runs. And so it's not going to run exponentially amount of times. It's just going to run as many times, as many as I have. If I have 10 numbers, it's going to loop 10 times. If I have 20, it's going to loop 20 times. If I have a million, it's going to loop a million times. It's directly linear, directly correlating to the size of the input. Now, this line doesn't correlate to the size of the input. It's going to run one time no matter what the size of the input is. This line is going to run one time no matter what the size of the input is. So you can actually ignore these in your big O notation. They reduce their constant operations is what they're called in big O notation. They aren't tied to the size of the input. They don't change. And everything in here, you want to check to make sure that there's nothing going on in here inside of this loop that could also cause more operations to happen. But what's happening here, all this stuff is just going to run one time per loop. So it's not going to loop and then do another loop in here and run like exponential amount of times or quadratic amount of times. Everything in here is pretty constant. It's just going to run one time per loop. So I can kind of ignore this part too. But the important part is this whole thing. And then this is always just going to run one time no matter how big this is. So my important thing is here. And this is running linearly to the size of my input. So that means my big O notation is big O of n, otherwise known as linear time complexity. And so that's actually usually pretty acceptable for coding challenges. I'm not going to go and talk about all the other time complexities, at least not right now. But that's something you definitely need to learn. Now, space complexity is, am I creating additional data structures in relation to the size of my input that are growing in relation to the size of my input? Well, this is just a simple, these two, it doesn't matter about the size of my input. I always just have two variables created. This is not a data structure. It's not an additional data structure. I only just passed in this data structure. This is just looping through that same data structure. These are just using the variables that I created above on the same data structure. So I'm not even adding any new data structures here that are growing or decreasing with the size of my input. So I'm just using constant space no matter what the size of my input is. I'm not using any additional runtime memory on top of my that's growing or scaling in relation to my input. So in that case, it's actually called big O of 1 or constant space. Or constant, I can't spell constant. Constant space. And so big O of n, linear time complexity, constant space complexity. So you need to be able to talk about that into an interview. And Nightbot on YouTube, I am using the Kadane algorithm. Who uses JavaScript for coding practice? A lot of people do. So I don't know where you get. I just answered that earlier. Like everybody's like, use Python, use Python. Like a lot of people use JavaScript. If you're going for JavaScript jobs, me personally, I would use JavaScript. If you're going to interview for JavaScript jobs, you can use Python. That's fine. But I'd rather show the interviewer that I can use the language that I'll be coding in when I'm actually there. I mean, it's no problem using Python, but that's just my personal preference. And a lot of people are using JavaScript for interviews. So that's just that's one of those internet myths to me. Like I don't like it's like the real world and then it's the internet, and like everybody's just like using Python on the internet. But in real life, everybody's not using Python. People are actually using Java in interviews. If you go to LeetCode.com and look at the problems that that's the reason they have the other languages on there. If everybody was just using Python, they wouldn't even put any other languages on there. So I get what you're saying, but that's just not it's really not true. I get what you're saying, that Python's a great language. It's an easy language because it's not verbose at all. It's very human readable. It's a pleasure to use. It's easy to use, not much syntax to remember, not as much as some of the other more verbose languages. But yeah, JavaScript's good for interviews too. It's dynamically typed just like Python is. You don't have to type a lot to do the same things. It reads very similarly to Python. It's clean. So I don't know. I don't see any issue with it. Let's see. Where was I at? Oh yeah, I was talking about space and time complexity, and then I was just answering some questions. Python got DQ though. Yeah, I will admit. Okay, so I'll admit that Python does have some good library functions for coding interviews. I would just say make sure you know what's going on, like behind the scenes with any function that you use, like what the time complexity of each of the functions are. DQ or whatever function you're going to use, make sure you know what the time complexity of that function is. And so like for this one, I didn't really talk about it. I kind of didn't follow my own advice, but like this one, I would need to explain. Like I might not have to, but some interviews will ask like, hey, what's the time complexity it is? I know that max is just simply saying, it's just simply a if statement that's saying like, is maxSum greater than currentSum? If not, just return which one is. It's like a ternary operator. I could actually just use a ternary for that, but this is cleaner. But I know the time complexity. I know it's just constant space and time complexity, so it's fine. But I might have to explain it in an interview, and if you start using a bunch of fancy functions and stuff and don't explain it, it won't be good. So anyway, yeah, man, it's crazy. I never thought I'd see the day when there was so much hate for JavaScript, man. JavaScript was like the most popular language for 10 years until Python dethroned it like this year. It was just this year that Python went above JavaScript. So it was like everybody loved JavaScript on the internet until like the last 2 years, and then everybody's just like. But I think what happens is that we got like some loud voices on the internet, and it's like, not putting anything against Python. Python's an amazing language. It's beautiful. But it's just sometimes I think the internet just kind of like it kind of spins things out of control, out of realisticness. It's like day-to-day jobs, everybody's not using Python. Like when you start looking at these jobs, like go on LinkedIn and look at the job descriptions, everybody's not using Python. I'll say most people aren't using Python in the actual jobs. Most people aren't using it. Like there's still companies using Ruby. There's still companies using C#. There's still companies using Java. Every company's using JavaScript. If you have any kind of web application, you're using JavaScript. So yes, sometimes sometimes the internet kind of, the popularity on the internet isn't always perfectly one-to-one to real life, to real jobs, real tech industry. But Python's amazing. So like, there's nothing wrong with Python. There's nothing wrong with JavaScript. So use what you want to use. But I'm gonna use what I want to use. So anyway, so yeah, I just talked about space and time complexity. And the last thing, I think I'm done, man. I think the last thing I'll do is LeetCode has this submit button that lets you submit the problem against all the LeetCode submissions online. It kind of gives you a score of like how well you did against everybody else. You kind of got to take it with a grain of salt because it's different every time you run it. But it also runs it against like a bunch of other test cases, not just one or like not just three like it did for me. It runs against a bunch of test cases. And so I'm gonna go ahead and submit it, and it actually like store it into your LeetCode account at that point. Man, I'm glad that worked because I thought I might get messed up on it. So yeah, it ran against 210 test cases. This is actually more likely what would happen in the interview, that they would have like a bunch of test cases you have to run, and then if you fail like one or two of them, you go back and try to fix them and figure out what's going on. That's the most likely case. It's most not likely that you would do what I had to do and just run through it like that. So anyway, yeah, so runtime complexity, LeetCode will let you see what it is here. Like I said, it's big O of N, so I'm happy I got that correct. And memory complexity, big O of 1 like I thought. So that's great that I didn't get that wrong. Or at least from LeetCode's perspective, I didn't. Says I beat 20%. I mean, that's not great. 5%, that's not great. I think there's actually a better, this is sufficient, but I think there's a better way to do this problem actually, I think. But yeah, I got the solution right, so it's pretty good. I think it says something down. Yeah, follow up. If you figured out the big O of N solution, try coding another solution using divide and conquer approach, which is more subtle. I'm not going to do that tonight. I don't even know how to do that, honestly. So I'm not going to do that. But if anybody in the comments knows how to do that and wants to like mention it, that would be great. But yeah, I would probably stop here. And I'm wondering, yeah, divide and conquer approach. Oh, so I wonder if you would just use like you just split the set in half. I don't know. Yeah, how would you do that? I don't know. I guess because then your subarray could be split across here. So I don't know. Yeah, that would be interesting to see how the divide and conquer approach works. But that's not going to be something I'm going to do. I'm going to put the code over here. Done with the problem. Got the right answer. I'm going to put this thing up on the screen here. Just completed this coding challenge. Dang, it's in the way though. Maybe I can move this code up some. You can kind of see it. Yeah, I just put this. I'm going to fix. I just got ChatGPT to print this thing off. But yeah, for when people join the chat after I done this, they always ask like, what are you doing? Like, why are you just sitting there? And I'm not just sitting there. I think I can move this to the bottom. Yeah, and then you can see the more of the problem. Yeah, it's like, why are you just sitting there? And it's like, I'm just answering questions. So yeah, so now y'all can, I can go back in the chat, answer some questions. I appreciate y'all watching the coding challenge. I'm gonna just keep answering questions and stuff and keep talking about the problem. Building stuff is greater than LeetCode. After interviews, you won't need LeetCode. For sure. Like LeetCode, I feel like it is an interview prep thing. Like I went my career probably 6 or 7 years without even touching LeetCode for real. I learned data structure and algorithms in college. I did the computer science degree, bachelor's in college. So we learned data structure and algorithm in college. But once I got out, the jobs that I was going for, they didn't add back then. At least I'm old. Back then, they didn't ask. It wasn't as prevalent. And so I did all my interviews, and I never even seen a coding challenge at first. But then once I got like 6, 7 years into my career, then I come back out to interview again, and they got all these LeetCode problems. And so I had to learn it. But yeah, I do think interviewing is a skill separate from the job skills. And yes, you do need to be doing real projects. Like I say that all the time in my content that I post. Doing real projects definitely better than tutorial projects or LeetCode problems as far as learning how to be a software engineer for real. But getting through the interview, that's a whole different ball game. Like, you got to know how to do these problems, because that's how Google thinks. Google created these problems. These not created these problems, but they created this style of interviewing because they think that they rather lose out on a good candidate that knows how to do software engineering. They think it's a lower chance of them. They rather miss out on a good hire than actually hire somebody that doesn't know how to code, like a bad hire, because it costs so much to get rid of a bad hire. When somebody comes in your company that's not good, that can't code, then it's hard to get rid of them. So what Google is betting on is that by giving these problems, that they're gonna, in more cases, hire a good candidate that at least knows how to code very, very deeply. Like, they know data structures, algorithms, they know the fundamentals of coding very deeply. They at least know that they know that, and there's less chance that they're going to miss out on somebody that just didn't study leak code and is a good programmer. They rather just let them just fall out, because they feel on average they make better hires on average by doing these problems. That's their opinion. You know, they make more money and they're smarter than me. So I guess that worked for them forever and they still doing it. But now in the times of AI, I'm hearing a lot of companies are starting to move away from leak code. Even the last time I interviewed heavily, a lot of companies were starting to move away from it. But there's still a lot that still do it, man. Even to point of like this month, like I had a friend that just got into a FANG company, and he was studying leak code. He was asking me and about it, and or telling me about it. He wasn't asking me about it. He's practicing on his own. But yeah, so yeah. Anyway, would you? Man, it's a lot of questions on here. So when you're doing these coding challenges, it's so hard to focus. And so yeah, I probably missed a lot of questions, but I'm gonna go back and read back on the questions. Yeah, let me see. Can you do an example with? Nah, I'm done with the coding part. What language do you think we should learn besides Python? I went through the whole JavaScript spiel. So definitely JavaScript. I think JavaScript or Python are some of the best languages to start with, because they're dynamically typed, they're very human readable, they're not verbose languages, meaning you don't have to type a lot of boilerplate to do simple things, especially in Python, but JavaScript too. JavaScript's got some gotchas to it, but JavaScript is a pretty simple language for scripting. I mean, it's literally in the name. And so it's a great language to learn. And because JavaScript runs in the browser natively, you can literally open a browser, open the dev tools, and start running JavaScript immediately. It's very low barrier entry. Even Python, you have to run an environment to run Python code in. I mean, you can go to like a website or something, but like JavaScript, literally you can build, like you can run JavaScript on, I can run JavaScript on leak code. I can just pull up the thing and just run it and do something and make it do something to the page immediately. So it's very like applicable very early. Like people can because people understand websites already. Non-technical people already understand websites, and so it's like a easier jump to like, how does this code apply to the website? So I suggest Python because of all the AI machine learning impact. Python's very easy language to pick up. All the other reasons I said, and I suggest JavaScript. And then you can maybe jump into TypeScript after JavaScript, which is like a superset of JavaScript that's statically typed. So you can start learning about statically typed languages, and you can start learning about object-oriented programming. So you can kind of move on from there. How long have you been coding? I've been coding, since I'm gonna age myself, but yeah, I probably say like 15 years total. Like when I started in college, probably like 15 years. So I'm pretty old. So I probably look younger than I am, I hope. But yeah. So I've been coding a long time. So I've been working for almost that long too. So in the industry. So I've seen all this stuff come and go. So I got a different perspective on like these new languages and stuff like that, because I've just seen a lot over the years, and I've seen people I just seen people see what people using at their different jobs and stuff, and like they're just tools. At the end of the day, you don't want to become so allegiant to one language or one tool. You want to be a little bit more agnostic to the tool that you want to be able to, like, if your company comes to you and say, hey, you've been using Python for 3 years, and your company comes to you and say, hey, we want you to work on this JavaScript node application that we just inherited. Like, you should be able to switch over and work on it. Like, you shouldn't just be like, just get stuck. Like, you're a software developer. You're not, you don't want to just be a Python developer. I mean, you can do that if you want, but, it's just a pigeon. You start to put yourself in a pigeonhole or whatever. You're pigeonholing yourself or whatever they call it. So, I'm more agnostic. Like, I like a lot of different languages. But I will say, when you're doing coding interviews, you kind of need to pick one, like, because you really need to like know that one like really deeply. But when you're just doing normal software development, like if a company told me like, hey, we want you to do the interview in Python, then that's fine. I'll switch to it. Don't default to infinity. Yeah, I didn't have to default to infinity, but it worked. But I didn't have to. I actually could have set this to, I think I could have used a loop with like a iterator in here, and then set this to num 0 here and here, and then start my loop here from index 1 instead of index 0. And I think I could have did it like that. But negative infinity, I think, does about the same thing. I don't see any performance impact with using negative infinity. So C# is my work tech stack. Python for testing, and JS for Go-ish. What's Go-ish? I hope crypto dev. I hope you're still on here. Yeah, see, man, C#. When I first got my first job, C# was the language. Statically typed, object oriented, Microsoft Shop language. Man, it's a powerful. C# is a great language. That's why I feel bad for people that get really allegiant to Python and they never try like JavaScript or C# or some of these other great languages, and that I know they would like. Like, everybody that eventually tries C#, they end up liking it. When they learn how to program for real, when you learn how to program the conceptual, foundational parts of it, you won't care as much about just trying to just use one language. And I know it sounds like I'm just like kicking Python in the dirt. I'm not. Python is amazing. It's just the internet has this like false allegiance to Python for some reason. I don't know. I guess because it's just so popular. But like languages like C# are like amazing. Which companies like Java? It's usually a lot of like enterprise companies, like enterprise software. Like, so you think of enterprise software like if you're like the software like Burger King would be using for like their inventory system or something like that. Like, there's a company out there that's like building software for like an airline or something like that. A lot of these older, long-standing enterprise companies that build enterprise business software, a lot of them use Java historically. Now, are they starting to change over to more popular frameworks now? Yeah, but there's still a lot of Java out there. Like, I still get hits for Java roles. Java's just really verbose. Like, I don't enjoy writing in Java that much, but I still like it as a language. I still write in it. Like I said, I'm pretty agnostic. But if I had my choice, I'd go with C# over Java. But I still like Java too. Can give advice for coding. For me, it's hard to understand. Yeah, I mean, one thing I suggest, because people kept on, I always show this every time I get on here, but roadmaps for anybody that's trying to learn. Like, I like roadmaps. .sh.com. It's not .com. It's roadmap.sh. It just gives you a roadmap to like learning. So like, if you want to be front end, it gives you like a big map to like first you want to learn how the internet works, and you want to learn HTML, like JavaScript. Like, it gives you a framework on how to learn before you even get to the coding stage. And so let me see if I see one for like Java or something like that. or you said learning the code, so like JavaScript. Yeah, so like this gives you a direction, so you don't just get lost trying to learn. It helps you learn in a certain order that's been known to lead to more success. And so they got everything on here. This is the JavaScript one. Like you want to learn about the different declaration first, or whatever they call these. And you want to learn about hoisting. Like this is stuff I talked about earlier. I talked about varlet and const earlier, and hoisting and all that stuff. But you want to learn about the fundamentals first before you even start jumping into it, and it'll make it a little easier. And then I also recommend freecodecamp.org just to learn. Like if you want something free to learn how to code, this is a good one. But I also recommend, like, nowadays YouTube, and of course AI. Like AI is like the greatest teacher, because you can ask it to teach you exactly how you learn. You can ask it very direct question, very specific question, and you can let you tell it to give you training material, practice material, questions. Like I will use AI in assistance with anything else that you use to learn. But going back to roadmaps, I just suggest this to just not even just answering that one question. It's probably multiple questions in the chat, like how do I learn front end, or how do I learn back end, or full stack, or what do I learn first, or what language should I start with, and all that stuff. Like this site is a very good bead on like what to learn in what order, so you don't get that analysis paralysis of like there's just too much to learn, and what order should I learn, and how deep should I go on this before moving on. Like that's the one question. Like you think you're supposed to go so deep in a language, when really sometimes you don't need to be like 100% 10-year JavaScript expert. You just need to learn just enough to be productive with it at a job. If you know enough about JavaScript to be productive with it in a working environment, you don't need to be some sort of like game-changing JavaScript 30-year expert. Like you don't need to learn it that deeply. Like that's why they call like the concept of being T-shaped in your career. You want to know a lot of things broadly across the top of the T, and only a few things like deeply across the bottom of the T. Like you want to be an expert in certain things. Yes, you want to pick a couple things to be an expert in, but you don't want to try to be you can't be an expert in every single thing. And so that's why being T-shaped is important. You want to have like a broad range of light level knowledge, so that when your company comes to you. Like I don't really know Python really deeply, honestly, but I know enough about it. When my company comes to me and there's a solution that lends itself to using Python, then I can use Python. Like I wrote a Python script a couple weeks ago for some CI automation that I needed to actually run some Python code as part of the CI/CD automation, a pipeline automation for deploying, or it wasn't even deploying something, but it was just doing something. So I had to use write a Python script for that, which just because I know which things and tools and languages from a broad perspective, I don't need to be an expert in every single thing, but I know enough on a broad level that I can architect solutions, and then I can dig deep when I need to on demand. And so that's my philosophy with kind of how to do this stuff. Oh, TikTok by Lee. I don't know if you're still on here. What's going on? Like, I appreciate you. She's always like on my content, so I really appreciate her. I saw your last video. You're pretty tall. I'm tall? Oh, man. I mean, I ain't short. I don't think I'm tall, but I appreciate it. Shoot, I want to be tall. Kadane's algorithm. I think what's the best way to learn Lua scripting? I would probably say Lua code fast. What's the best way to learn that? I wonder if that's on here too. I would probably say get a course for Lua. Just get a course, either YouTube course or YouTube video course. First of all, figure out the way that you learn best. Do you learn best by videos? Do you learn best by tutorials? And then there's so many things I can suggest. Like some people learn better by watching YouTube videos or watching video courses somewhere. Like there's Code Academy, there's Udemy, there's YouTube videos. Some people learn best now by AI, just asking AI, hey, give me a crash course in Lua, and just pretend you're my teacher and just take me through a course, give me practice problems. Some people learn better by using stuff like roadmaps, and then picking the things they want to learn through from there. Some people need workshops. Some people need boot camps. Some people actually need to go to college. So like figure out the way you learn. So there's so many ways. So just DM me and we can maybe talk about it deeper, because then I can figure out what you're into, like what you like the best way you learn. Because the best thing I suggest you is not gonna work if that's not your learning style. You're just gonna fall off. Because I can't watch YouTube videos. I just can't I can't rewind. I just end up blanking out. Like I'm just staring at them and they're talking. I need readable stuff that's how I learn the best. So yeah. KG.codes said actually max is big O of n complexity, where n is the size of the arguments. I don't think that's true, man. I don't think that's true. Let me Google that, man. I don't think that's true. But I could be wrong. I will not say that I cannot be wrong. Time complexity JavaScript. Oh, it is big O of n. Oh, the number of arguments passed to the function. Iterates all, but it'll always be 2. Yep. So yeah, so you're right. You're right, and I'm right. So, because in my case, it's fixed. I'm always only gonna be passing in 2 arguments, so it's actually big O of 1 in my case. But you're right that it's possible if I'm dynamically passing in. If I was passing in the list of nums into max, then it would be big O of n. But that's not what I was doing. So you're right in certain cases. In my case, I was right. So we're both right. So that's cool, actually. Because that was a learning moment for sure. Because I actually didn't realize you could pass a list of numbers, a spread operator like that, into max. Like you could just spread a whole list. I thought you could only spread put 2 things in there. But you can actually put a whole list and it picks the highest one. But if it's fixed, then it's just constant. So yeah, man. I'm glad you said that. And so yeah, in my problem, it's always 2 things. It's not dynamic or anything like that. It's always just fixed. So it's big O of 1 constant. But yeah, if an interviewer asked about that and I didn't know, I would probably just change the code and just make it if statements. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that though, man. Good point. Great point to mention that. Hey bro, Isan, what's up, dude? Let's see. Let me get on down to the bottom of the comments. If you do customer service trade into UX UI design. Okay, I think y'all may be talking to each other. Bro is not Elliot, not elite. Oh, okay. I don't really care about being elite anyway. Space repetition. How well can IT pay? Oh, IT can pay very well. Like, tech industry in general can pay very well, especially if you let me go back to this. Especially if you start going for FANG companies. I'm gonna put levels. It's the first time we went to levels.fyi on the stream before. So yeah, go to levels.fyi, LEVL, or stop. Or you can download the app, levels.fyi. It's a website. It leans more toward big tech like Home Depot, Microsoft. Well, Home Depot is not big tech. It's just they got tech people though. They're in the tech industry, but they're not technically a tech company. But Microsoft, VMware, like Facebook. But yeah, if you go here, they'll show you the salaries in your area. You can pick by the area, because I can't answer that until you company, pick your area, stuff like that, and it'll give you a better answer. But I guess I can answer that. In general, yeah, IT roles are going to do pretty good. It just depends on what company, depends on the role exactly. There's some IT roles that may not pay that much. It's possible, but there's some that will pay a lot. So don't be like afraid to get into it because there's going to be some money issue. If you're in a technical role, the tech industry in general usually pays pretty well. I don't know what I was looking for, but anyway, you can go here, look at that's one thing just to answer other questions that may be on here, like what kind of, let's see what Home Depot, what is it, 400, you only get stock of $417. That's crazy. So Home Depot don't really give you much stock. Microsoft SDE, that's the base level, and then you get the stock and then the bonus. So like usually in technical roles, it's this thing, it's not even a thing, but it's just total compensation is usually what this number is they're going to give you. So typically when you grow up and you think about like how your job works, you think about the amount of money you make in just salary, just this part of it. Like I make this how much I make a year, and that's what I make. But in tech, a lot of times when they're talking to you in the interview process, and when you're talking to other people in tech, you get this thing called total comp, which is this spin wheel or whatever. And total comp is your salary. A lot of these big tech companies, when they're on these public tech companies that have stock on, they're on like NASDAQ or whatever, NASDAQ, whatever. They're like publicly traded companies. They actually can offer stock as part of the compensation. And private companies can do it too, but like public companies can actually like, you could sell it like immediately. And so you can take this stock and they add it as part of your compensation, whether you sell it or not. And then they usually have a vesting period, but they're going to add it as part of your yearly compensation. Then you have a bonus. Most jobs have a bonus. But I would say it's the only time I really seen that in the tech industry is when they kind of add the bonus to when you're talking about how much you make. Like I feel like people that like commissions, like salespeople that gets commissions, they usually say, okay, I make this much a year. But no, I guess they do say that too. I guess they say I make how much they make plus their commission. So I guess that's how they talk too. So I guess everybody always does total comp. So, but this is how it's usually broken down with these big tech companies that have money on the stock market, and they give that as part of the compensation. SDE2, what is the principal making? 300, 200 base, and then 660 stock and 35 bonus. So, and it depends on where you live and all kind of stuff like that. So anyway, I'm just bringing up levels.fyi. It's a place where you can do research to help negotiate your offers if you do start to go for tech roles. Now if you go for a little startup company, you can't go to them and be like, hey, pay me like Microsoft. Like you can't do that, but at least can give you a good sense of what's out there. And if you are interviewing for some of these big tech companies, it can actually be very helpful, like to know what to ask for in your area based on your the role that you're going for. So, because people are coming on here and like just putting their salaries on here, so you got to take it with a little grain of salt. But it's like crowdsourced information eventually becomes a good source of truth, because it's like crowdsourcing or whatever. So, Dr. Insano, what's going on, man? I used to work with him. Okay, well, I rated because you're live, but the stream is no working. I'm getting an error 1000. I think it's maybe because I'm streaming through I think I'm streaming through this thing called Restream, which lets me stream on all these different platforms. So I'm not streaming directly on Twitch. So that's probably what the problem is. And yeah, I do notice Restream says like my bit rate or something is weird or low or higher. So I don't know. So my bad, man. I'm going to try to figure out all that stuff at some point. Anyway, depending on how you're hired, some tech companies don't negotiate. Yep, that's true. Taylor, I appreciate you saying that. Sometimes you can negotiate these things. Sometimes it helps to have not a counter offer, but an offer, another offer. I guess it would be called a counter offer, or a comp offer. I'm blanking out, whatever they call it, like a competitive offer or whatever from another company to help you negotiate. Is help desk a good starting point in IT? 100% is a great starting point. To just get your feet wet with technical things, especially if you can get into a help desk at a technical company, so you're solving problems with the tech that you eventually may be wanting to start to do software development on. Or no, you're saying you want to be in IT. Yeah, so even that too, like the if you want to work at a company that's adjacent to the role that you eventually want, start at the help desk and then work your way up into more like a solutioning role, and then work your way up to, hopefully getting into like an IT position, like some sort of position as far as, either cloud networking, cloud infrastructure, if you want to go that direction, or you want to go into like actual physical, like IT, like networking and stuff like that, or you want to go into like security. Yeah. So I think help desk is tough, man. Help desk is a grind, but it's definitely a great way to get your foot in the door. Yeah, competing offer. Yeah, that's what it's called. Appreciate it, Taylor. Stream on Pump Fun. What is that? Oh, you talking about some crazy stuff, man. I don't know what that is. If you don't mind me asking, who do you work for? Just DM me. I'll let you know who I work for if you just DM me. I'm not gonna say it on the stream, but I've said it before. If you go on my, actually, you just go on my profiles. It says it on there, but I'm not gonna go deep into my job, because there's like, we're not supposed to be sharing certain information. And instead of me trying to be careful about what I say, I just don't say nothing at all. I work at like a mid-size tech company. So not like, like these huge tech companies, but like not a small one, not the largest ones, but one of the mid-sized tech companies. Oh, I guess I have said it before. I said it where I worked before on the stream. Yeah. I can just say I work at a chat company. We provide live chat for like other big companies like Verizon and Delta. And if you go on these sites and you like go to the chat option, where like that's what we provide to them. And so, yeah, I work at a tech company that does that. So it's cool because I get to see my work being used. Like I get to use my work in my everyday life, and I get to see it being used by like, millions of people or whatever. So that's pretty cool. It's a very rewarding feeling when it works, and it's very scary when we have bugs and issues and stuff. So I guess I have responsibility. When I think about it, it's like I got responsibility of some of the stuff I code actually affects like millions of people, which is kind of cool and kind of scary at the same time. And I'm sure a lot of people have that feeling, but yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm sure not everybody has that feeling, so I'm appreciative of it at the same time. I'm struggling with DSA. Any tips? I'm gonna go with the same tip that I give every time I give on here. I get on here is algomonster.com, spelled like this: algo then monster. It's a structured way to prepare for interviews. Like I said, I don't like watching videos to learn. I like to read more to learn, or like see diagrams and things like that where I can go back to it. And but what this does is actually Algo Monster. Let me see if I scroll down. Algo Monster is helping you learn the concepts and the fundamentals first. So instead of trying to memorize 1,000, 3,000 lead code problems or data structures and algorithms, it actually teaches you the data structures, teaches you the patterns, teaches you the algorithms based on LOE. And I think I'm not logged. Oh, shoot. I just lost that screen. Where the heck did that go? Hold on. Oh, yeah. I need to log in without y'all seeing it. Give me 1 second. But yeah, Algo Monster basically helps you. Let me see. Start here. Yeah, so they basically teach you the patterns that you need to know. So like they teach you all these algorithms that you can use to help you do these coding challenges. And so it's like, it's like maybe 12 of them or whatever that's easier to start learning those instead of trying to learn and memorize 300 or 3,000 leak code problems. Like, you want to learn how to work with graphs, dynamic programming, depth first search, breadth first search, binary search, backtracking, two-pointer approach, sliding window technique. Like, there's all these different techniques, and they put it in this chart here. And what AlgoMonster does is they teach you in order of return on investment. So how often do these topics show up in interviews? Start learning those first so you have a better chance when you get on the interview, because those questions are going to come up more often. And they also compare like how hard they are to learn. And you should just really start with these top 5 first. Then these next 3, and then these last 4 show up a lot less frequently. And so you can get to those at the end. But if you learn these top 8, you're going to be ready to go for interviews. Like, I learned these top 8 and I had a FANG offer like in hand, just learning these top 8, just get into dynamic programming. And so, because most of the questions I might have got a question in here, but most of the questions were in these first 8, especially in these first 5. And so they teach you like that. They're going to hammer in, like when you learn two-pointer, they're going to hammer in the two-pointer algorithm and variations of that algorithm so many times that when you see that problem in an interview, or you see it on LeetCode, you're going to know how to pattern recognize it. You're going to be able to look at the problem statement and say, oh, I need to solve this with two-pointer. And then you're going to learn silent window techniques so deeply, you're going to do it. They're going to nail it in so much that into your mind that when you see a problem, you're going to be able to recognize it. And so what they also have is, and see, they even have for the companies like Google, Meta, Amazon, like how often they ask these different types of problems. And the other thing they have is this flow chart, which is the pattern recognition flow chart is what I call it. And it basically helps you when you see a problem. Does the problem have a graph on it? Yes or no? If yes, is it a tree? Yes, then you probably need to use depth first search. Oh, see, I'm not even got it on the screen, but I don't even have it on the screen. But yeah, is it a graph? Yes. Is it a tree? So, I mean, you can kind of see what it's doing here, but it's basically helping you pattern recognize what exactly you might need the pattern that you need to use, or the solution or the approach you need to use to solve the problem based on these different pattern recognition topics, I guess. And so that's what I like about it. It keeps it really simple, and I just recommend, I'm not going to go too long on it, but I recommend using AlgoMonster. AlgoMonster also has problems on it too. Like, it has like a coding thing where you can code in there. And so it's just like LeetCode, you can solve problems on there, but they're trying to teach you, versus LeetCode is more or less just do the problems and you get them right or wrong. They're actually teaching you right before they ask you to do the problem. And so they really dig into fundamentals. And so that's what I like about AlgoMonster. That's what gave me my breakthrough with DSA. So yeah. I'm not gonna answer that question. That's kind of weird. Is this pre-recorded? No, my bad. Ask the question again. It's not pre-recorded. I'm just talking. I'm answering questions. It's not pre-recorded. Stefan, it's not pre-recorded. I'm definitely on here live. It's probably, I don't know, it might have a delay. And I can't see it. It's a lot of questions. On TikTok, it's a lot of questions that I just haven't got to. And I talk a long time, so I'm trying to be thorough. How long have you been in the industry? I think 12 years. Like, professional software engineer, 12 years. How long I've been coding? Like 15 to 16 through college. I wouldn't even say I was really coding through college. I was just trying to get through, man. I was coding, but shoot, I didn't really think of myself as a coder. It wasn't until after college that I started doing my own side projects, which somebody said earlier, that really helped me feel like I was a coder for real. How did you start in your career? So I went to university here in Georgia, Mercer University. Probably haven't heard of it, but that's the college I went to. It's a reputable school, you know what I'm saying? It's a good. of the school. It's a good school. But anyway, it's a university. I got a bachelor's bachelor's of science, or bachelor's degree in computer science. So 4-year degree. I still recommend getting a degree. There's other ways to learn how to code now or get into tech, like certifications, boot camps, self-teaching, which are great ways to get into. But I definitely still think that getting a degree is still a great way. I know it's a lot of tension or whatever. It's a lot of differing opinions on getting a degree, whether it's worth the money. But I think for some people, the way that they learn, they need to be in a classroom and they need to be forced to go to a classroom. And that's me. I needed to be at that time. For that time of my life, I needed to be in a classroom having somebody make me learn how to code. And that's how I learned how to code. So I learned how to code, went through college, graduated college, did a whole different job with like my family for like a year, kind of like took a break year. And then I started interviewing for programming jobs, from software engineering jobs, to be clear. And yeah, so started interviewing and then got a job at another chat company. And yeah, started working there, learned C#, JavaScript. It's mostly C# and JavaScript to start with. Learned about databases, learned about web services. Like that job, because it was a small business, and I wouldn't say small business, but it was like a smaller dev team, and I got to do everything. I was full stack, so I got to create databases and create web services, console applications that the company used, create websites, dynamic websites using C#, JavaScript, CSS, HTML. I got to create web APIs and do web requests. I got to learn so much on that job so fast. And so that's what really kicked off my career. And then from there, it just kept going up. So that's a great question. Do you work from home all the time? Yeah, I work from home all the time. Ever since 2020. 2020, company went full remote because of the pandemic. And they just never went back to offices. I know a lot of companies are doing return to office, RTO, but my company never decided to go back to the offices. So I've been working from home since 2020. But before 2020, I always worked in the office full time, 40 hours a week in office before 2020. So I'd say probably like at this point, most of my career was actually in office. In the last 5 years have been work from home the whole time, which is great. But sometimes you do miss working in office. Working in office, man, the work was just more fun in office because we got to go to lunch. We got to talk. Like even when we were just sitting there working on stuff, even if there was a major issue, it's like we're laughing, joking. It made the work have more life in it. And the mentoring was easier. Like getting on a Zoom call to mentor somebody ain't the same as like walking over to their desk or going to the kitchen and having a little chat. It's just easier. Like it sucks to get on a Zoom call to do like team bonding. Like that's not team bonding. It just sucks. I mean, we try to make it work, but it's not the same. Like you're not really. Nobody wants to get on a Zoom call. You get on Zoom calls all day. You don't want to get on a Zoom call to do team bonding or mentor somebody. So I think a lot of that stuff suffered, but does it outweigh the benefits of working from home? I don't think so. Like where the benefits of working from home, just having more flexibility in your schedule, not sitting in traffic, being able to create the office space that you want. I think it just outweighs being in office. But I guess I'm just saying that working from home is not perfect, is what I'm saying. So why not initialize maxSum and currentSum as 0? Because that's a great question. Why not initialize? Because the numbers can be negative. So my maxSum actually could be negative. Like think about if all these numbers were negative, then my maxSum actually would be something negative. So yeah, it's possible because these could be any number 10 to the negative power. So my maxSum could be negative. So if I need to put this at a super negative number. I can't put it at 0 because my maxSum would be incorrect. It possibly could be incorrect. It would not be correct in all cases in case my maxSum was 0. Then it would screw up my logic right here. It would just screw up a lot of stuff. So that's a great question though, because I think that's a big issue that people have when they do this problem. They read through this too fast. They don't realize that like there's negatives in here. And then they do start this out at 0. And so that's the very critical part of this problem you have to kind of know to do, which isn't intuitive, man. I would say this problem right here ain't too intuitive. Like, it's not like something that would just come to your mind off the bat, I don't think. So let me put my little joint stuff back on the screen so y'all can see, so people that jump in can see what I was doing and what I'm doing now. Where are you from? I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm from the USA or whatever. I was born in Minnesota and been working in Atlanta ever since I started my professional career. I've been living in Atlanta. I moved to Atlanta to get my first software engineering job. Can you explain the edge case where the negative number would F with the maxSum? Can you explain the edge case where the negative number would... So let me think about it. So if I started this off at 0 and all of these numbers was negative, so I would never, this output would, if all these numbers are negative, I would never have a positive, I would never get a positive currentSum. I would never get a positive maxSum. So if I start these at 0, then when I come in here and say, is num greater than currentSum, I would never get in here because currentSum would be 0. It would never or it would be like one of these things added to. I guess if you keep on, if you did enough of these, it might get in here, but I just think it would screw it up. So, I mean, actually I can just do it and see what happens. Just do it and see what happens. Change that to 0. Yeah, all I gotta do is just change it to 0, right? Just run it. It might pass for some of these. And then let me see if it passes for all these test cases. Dang, I hate to have to get this wrong on the, Yeah, so this is one of the cases where, I'm sorry, let me get all this stuff out the screen. Keep that up there and take that off the screen. So these test cases pass, right? Because I got positive numbers in here. All my outputs are positive. So it works if all your outputs are positive. But remember what I was saying is that it doesn't work where your outputs are negative. And so if you come over here where I ran it against more test cases over here, I ran it against 210 test cases. It only passed 195. -1, it failed that test case. Can I see where all the test? How do I open all the test cases? Can you? I guess you can't see. I guess they just give me an example. So the first test case where I had a negative, literally the -1, it failed because I'm only ever going to put 0 there. And so, but it expected -1. I wish I could see all these. Dang, why don't they show you all the test cases? I don't get it. Why does it just show me this one test case? How can I not see? Anyway, I wanted to show you the test cases that it failed on, but it looks like I can't see them. I mean, I guess I could just add another test case here and make all these negative. Because I think the currentSum is going to get so low that it's not possible to change. I'm never going to change these values properly. And so let's run this against this. This fourth one should fail. Yeah, so the fourth one fails like I thought. The output, I just keep getting 0 and I should get -1. I keep getting 0. So, but if I change this back to this, and I should get the right answer. Yeah, so I get the right answer. I get -1. So it's just because this gotta be like extremely low number when I start out. And I mean, like I said, man, this problem isn't really intuitive. Like, I didn't know to do this when I first did this problem, to be honest with you. I've done this problem like, shoot, let me see. 2 years ago, I think. No, 3 years ago in 2022. Besides, so this was an hour ago when I actually ran it with y'all, and this was 3 minutes ago when I ran the wrong answer. But yeah, since then I hadn't done it. I hadn't submitted it at least in 2 years, 3 years, almost 3 years. But here you see, I had the wrong answer here. I had the wrong answer here. In 2021, I finally figured it out. And then I tried to come do it again. Had the wrong answer 3 times in a row in 2022. And then I finally figured it out. So this one ain't an easy one based off intuition. Like, this is a tough one. Because it's this Kadane's algorithm that is not really a super popular algorithm. So, is it frowned upon to use JavaScript TypeScript in coding interviews? I heard mixed opinions. Yeah, I just had a whole rant about that. Like, it is not frowned upon to use JavaScript in interviews at all. It's not frowned upon. The only thing I would say would be frowned upon is if you're going for a Python role and you decide to use JavaScript instead of Python. Some interviewers will frown upon that. Like at my company, if we're interviewing for a JavaScript role, I know some interviewers that would want the interviewee to use JavaScript. If they're interviewing for a Java role, so if you're a back-end developer, right, and you're doing, at the job, you're doing a lot of back-end languages like C#, Java, Python's a back-end language too. I mean, a lot of language can be used on the back-end, but let's say it's Java. And then you come in an interview using JavaScript, it's not, they probably, if you do well enough, they'll probably be okay with it, but they may question why you're doing your coding interview, how comfortable you are with Java. They want to know how you code in Java because that's what you're going to be using every day. And so that's the only time I can see where the language you choose being frowned upon. And so like I was telling people earlier, people complain every time I get on here, why are you using JavaScript? Because when I interview, I'm usually going for front-end roles that require a lot of JavaScript. Most of the time in my career right now, at one point I was using C# a lot. So I would probably use C# in the interview. Right now, JavaScript is the language I use most day to day. It's the language I'm most comfortable with doing interviews. That's the language that got me job offers before. And so that's what I'm going to use. And the jobs that I'm going for have JavaScript on the resume. On the job description. And so anyway, somebody said, and then Dome said, set maxSum and currentSum to the first element, and whatever current is less than, yeah. So that would be a better solution than setting it to 0. That's actually that's a decent solution. Like what he's saying is set this to the first element in here. Like that, and then this probably needs to be like changed to a so instead of starting at 0 here, I want to start at 1 here since I'm starting at 0 here, and I is less than nums.length I plus plus. So like change my loop into like a for loop with an iterator. Yeah, I equal to 1, and I think this will actually, to make this nums I. I think this is right. I think this will work. Might work. I don't know. Yep, so that works. Yep, so that's another way to do it. I mean, whether you use the first number here or use negative infinity, I don't know if it makes a difference. I mean, maybe you skip an iteration, so it may actually be more optimal. So yeah, appreciate you mentioning that. I think as far as the time and space complexity, it's the same though. But yeah. Can I submit it again? Let me see if I submit it again. See if I get like. Oh yeah, it's actually got 100 on runtime. But I don't believe. Yeah, I don't believe that's not right, man. I don't believe that. thing didn't even run. Yeah, so this is more. That's why you can't trust that thing. It just told me 100, and then now it's saying 45. Like, it's all over the place. You can't really trust. Honestly don't get why LeetCode just doesn't take this thing off. It's so random, man. I don't know. I don't get it. Like, if it can say 100 one time and then say 45 the next time, like that's such a big difference. So I don't get it. But anyway, yeah, I appreciate you, Dome, giving me that solution. But I did mention it earlier. Like, you could not use the negative infinity for sure, but I didn't actually code it out. So, but I appreciate you mentioning that. What route would you recommend to take to get your role? I guess it depends on what are you like, how to learn the code, or you mean like during the interview process. Now, man, the job market's so competitive. I would definitely recommend doing a lot of side projects. And when I say side projects, I mean real projects, like doing contract work. So like finding businesses, finding your auntie and uncle that owns a business, or going door to door. And even if you got to do it for free, say, hey, I want to write this contract up to build your website. I want to write this contract up to build some automation for you, or code some sort of scripts to help with your business. We're going to write a contract. We're going to have this contract for 6 months. And when I get done, I'm going to actually do it. Like, don't just do like a fake thing. Actually do it, because they ask you about it in an interview. They're going to be able to tell if you didn't really do it. Like, you really need to be able to talk about it. And then put that on your resume, especially, I'm saying, if you have no experience. That is a good form of experience. Like, that's considered freelancing or contract work. And at that point, you can put that on your resume and you can talk about it and actually do it, so you can actually talk about it. And you can be transparent, be clear, like, hey, I was just doing contract work, contracting, or whatever. You can call it contract work, you can call it contracting. You got a contract, actually have a contract, and you're actually freelancing, you're actually contracting or whatever at that point. You don't have to be getting benefits and all that stuff and being hired on. Like, just make a contract, and whatever the specifications of the contract are with them is how it goes. Now, I know a lot of people see contract work as like when they give you a contract, but to me, you can play it how you want to play. If you want to call it freelancing on your resume, you can call it freelancing. Me personally, I like to call it contract work because it looks better on the resume, and that's what it is to me. And so it helps, because my first job, that's really how I got it. Like, I actually did had a contract with some friends from high school, and they had me building a social media website, and I built the whole website. It was on live, and the social media website failed, but in the interview I was able to talk about it and actually show them. They actually pulled it up in the interview, which I didn't expect them to do. And they were like, so what do you use for this? And I was like, yeah, I use my SQL database for this, and my endpoints were in PHP, and you call every single thing you see here. This is a call to the endpoint, which fetches data from the database. Then it puts it in this format and returns it to the front end. Then the front end displays it like this. And, so I was able to talk about these technologies, some of which they were actually using at the company. Not PHP, unfortunately, but I love PHP. I know a lot of people hate PHP, but they were using some of the other technologies like MySQL, or I don't think they were using MySQL exactly, but they were using Microsoft SQL, which was super similar. So, and then they had me do some SQL queries, and it was like, okay, you did it very rudimentary, but yeah, we know that you knew what you were doing. And so I don't think I would have got the job without having that contract work on my resume and actually being able to talk about it in an interview. Because they were asking me definition. They were it was stupid stuff I didn't know that I didn't remember from school. They were just asking me what is I think they said, what is the difference between inheritance and C# and Java? These trivia questions type of things. And I was like, I don't know, man. I ain't study all that. So, but now, I think that was actually when I got right. But it was what was the interface. I think they asked me what interface was in C# and in Java interface, and I didn't know what an interface was. And so I was like, man, they gonna fail me, because it's I just plain out I just told them, I don't lie in the interview. If I don't know, I don't know, but I can tell you, I know I can find out very quickly, but I'm not gonna sit here and lie. So anyway, I'm just going on a tangent. Yeah, I'm just trying to read a few more comments before I get off here. Is JavaScript similar to C++? Not at all. Not at all. C++ is considered a lower level language, and when I say lower level, I just mean closer to the machine code. It's still an abstraction, but it's just a lot closer. I don't want to say a lot closer, but it's a little bit closer to the machine code. Like, as in, it's a lot more verbose language. There's a lot more. It's a lot less like readability. So it's a lot different than JavaScript. JavaScript's like a scripting language for the browser, and C++ is a lot different. I think what paradigm is C++? I can't remember. But anyway, yeah. Maybe it's like declarative or something like that. I can't remember what the name. Are we doing meat code problems? Meat code. PHP is okay. Lots of PHP still running out there. S Bargy, what's up, man? Yeah, definitely, man. I still love PHP. I still use PHP for some of my like personal projects, man. I don't care. I like I said, I'm agnostic, man. I use the best tool. It don't even have to be the best. Sometimes there's multiple best tools for a job. I just use a good tool for the job. And so that's what it is, that's kind of how I think. And yeah, John Link wrote a good comment on YouTube. Honestly, learning JavaScript will prepare you for a lower level language. Will prepare you more for a low level language than Python, probably so. And so that's one thing that I think with Python, like I've seen, because I've been doing this for a long time. I've seen people come on the internet when they're first starting out, and they start out with Python, and they're starting out in this beautiful human readable language. Dynamically typed. You don't have to worry about defining types and typing errors and stuff like that. And then it's just clean. They have these clean functions, and everything looks beautiful, and they have all these functions that help you do everything. And then they try to do a language like Java or C++, and it's just like, this is a totally different world. Like, it's like completely, there's so much stuff that I have to write, so much extra boilerplate code, and just different things I have to worry about, and different paradigms and different principles I have to worry about in this language versus Python. And so Python is great because it's so easy to learn and be productive in very fast. But if you want to learn more about programming paradigms and like things like and Python is object oriented too, so you can learn it there. But there's just a lot of different like with statically typed languages that have like different principles in them, like learning about dependency injection, for example. And like in Java, it's like a big thing in Java. It's like just other different languages just teach you different things in different ways. Not that some of this stuff isn't in Python too, but some of these other languages is at the some of these concepts are at the forefront more. That's how I wanted to explain it. They're at the forefront more, and so it makes them easier to learn what they mean. Like interfaces, like using interfaces and classes and stuff like that, and inheritance and stuff like that. Is you can do that in JavaScript, you can do that in Python, but it is a lot more prevalent in some of these other languages like C# and Java. And then because they're statically typed, now you have concepts like inflection, like type inflection and stuff like that you learn about, that you can't learn about in dynamically typed languages as easily. Like, it's a lot more surface stuff. Some of the stuff just doesn't exist. And so you just get more well-rounded when you just use different types of languages. Do you ever code any CRMs? CRM was a customer relationship management service or customer relation. I can't remember what the acronym. I know what it means. I just can't remember what the words are in the acronym. I've never coded any one of those. Oh yeah, I did for my freelancing business. I coded like a very crude, like small one, But I wouldn't recommend doing that. Just that problem's already been solved. Like, sometimes you have to think about when problems, like certain problems already been solved, and you should just pay for a solution versus trying to build your own. I built my own, and it was like I could have just used like some service out there. But yeah, I have built one before. It's very simple though. Like, it's not nothing fancy. Do you go closer to C or do you even want to go closer to C or assembly? No, not at all, really. I mean, there's really no reason for me with the abstractions that have been created now with these different higher level languages, Python, JavaScript. Yeah, I mean, even C# and Java are pretty far abstractions from C and assembly. So I mean, there's really no reason to, because most of these jobs that I'm working aren't and things that I have to do at my job, they don't lend themselves to need that. I think some people still use a lot of C++ because C++ is actually a very high performing language. And so I think in in scenarios where high performance is critical, I still hear about people using C++. And y'all can go Google that and look it up, but that's what I heard about C++. I learned C++ in college. That was like one of the first languages I learned, and it's nice. It helped me learn programming, but yeah, it wasn't something I had to stick to, because a lot of the languages that were being used at the jobs I was going for were like JavaScript, C#, Java. Today is Python. Even Ruby. I've seen a lot of Ruby jobs. And yeah, it's some other language I want to. What's the other language that people are using, like niche language that people are using? I can't remember. Anyway, I'm currently sticking to C++. Once I master every programming scheme and tool, then I start learning the main industry's APIs. Nothing wrong with that. C++ is actually a language I first learned in college, so I understand. I think one of the most important is, John Link, I appreciate you saying, because I was trying to think of that, but he said, I think one of the most important is learning memory, what garbage collection really does, stack, queue concept. Once you learn those concepts, you'll be about ready to learn anything. Yeah. So like languages like C and C++, they really surface like those concepts like garbage collection and memory leaks and stacks and queues and stuff like that in a way that like languages like JavaScript and C# that have like automatic garbage collection, you don't really surface those issues because all that stuff is being handled for you behind the scenes. But in languages like even like assembly, where like you're doing like jump statements and stuff like that, like you're learning like very close to the machine code, and those are concepts that could be valuable to you later on. But there's some people that just learn JavaScript and learn web dev, and they just get web dev roles, and they never even ever learn none of that stuff. So it just really depends. I recommend learning all that stuff, but that's just me. I got a computer science degree, computer science background, so I might be just biased to that. And I hated it in school. I was like, this is useless, so we're never going to use this stuff. But once I got on the industry and I started seeing some of the issues like with scaling and data structures and algorithms, I was like, it is valuable. Now, is it valuable every day? No, but it has come in useful in the 10 years for sure, on a lot of occasions. So anyway, yeah, I think what do you think of AI, man? So I think that'll be the last thing is going to this AI thing, man. I'm finishing up a Bachelor of Arts in AI next year. What do you think of AI? AI is great. I haven't talked about it tonight, which is rare. Like every stream I get on, I usually spend most of the time talking about AI, but I actually enjoyed tonight that I didn't talk about AI until now. And I'll talk about it a little bit. I think AI is amazing. I use it every day in my personal life. I use it at work every day. Helps me write documentation, helps me code. It usually takes a first stab at all my code now, pretty much. I use Cursor, use Gemini, use ChatGPT. I use a few different ones because I just like I kind of switch between them. And yeah, I mean, I think the AI, the problems with AI, it is kind of scary because of what it can do and what it will maybe able to do soon. about job security. Of course, I think that's a question. I'm more on the optimistic side, and people that have watched my stream before probably know that I'm more on the optimistic side about like what my place will be in the future. Do I think jobs will be lost due to AI? I can see that I'm way more productive with coding now because I can let the AI do the first draft of the code. If it screws it up, I can jump in and either reprompt it, or if I can fix it faster than it can prompt, which does happen sometimes, then I'll fix it. Then once it's done, I can review what it wrote because I do have expertise. And some things it knows that I didn't know. Some things I know that it doesn't seem like it knows. And at least for right now. And so, I still feel like I have a place. I do have a place in the structure or whatever in software development. I just think we're becoming less software developers and coders. We're becoming more like context engineers for the AI. And so we're basically trying to form this environment around the AI so that it can get the answer right more of the time. It can produce the right code at the right times, and it has the context it needs right at the right time it needs it. Because, context is expensive. It actually costs tokens, and it costs you money with using the AI service to build this context. So you actually want to keep that context window at the right size for the right time so you can get the best result. And the AI doesn't hallucinate, just lessen the chance of there being issues. And so I think that's what my role is starting to more turn into. Because I have been coding for most of my career, I think I'm able to see when the AI gets it wrong more than most people. I think a lot of people come on the internet and they're like, AI can code everything, like it can't make any mistakes and it's going to take over everything tomorrow. And in a year, all the programming jobs are going to be gone. And when you've been doing it for a long time and you see, like I was working on something tonight and I just kept prompting. I was like, come on, man, I'm giving it so much information to tell it what to do, and it just couldn't figure out this issue. And this is like one of the frontier AI tools. I'm using like Cursor with like one of the best. I can't remember which ones. Like I think it's using Claude behind it, like Claude Sonnet, one of the supposed to be the frontier coding model. And it's like this stuff, it still has issues. So like, do I think all coding jobs will go extinct in a year? No. Do I think they will ever go extinct? Maybe. But I just don't think it's as close as what these AI companies are selling the dream for it to be. Because it's in their best interest to sell us that they're selling a product, right? So like, it's in their best interest to say that, yeah, in a year it can take over everybody's job. Like, it's in their best interest to sell their products to other companies to say that stuff. But day to day, using it, I still think you need a human in the loop, a knowledgeable human, a knowledge expert in the loop to help with the context engineering and also to help with hallucination and the compounding error problem that AI can have when it starts to treat errors as truths and then keeps building upon them. And without a human in the loop, it just doesn't know to go back and fix it. And so, it just is, I know some people are going to come in there and say, yeah, AI is going to take over everything. It's fine, But yeah. Yeah, and I know Claude is like really, really good. Like Claude makes least mistakes of any of them. But, I don't know. I'm more optimistic, I guess. Hey, Wayne Jones, what's going on, man? Glad you jumped in here. What's going on, dude? I met Wayne at the Render ATL Tech Conference. Oh yeah, go to Tech conferences, people. Like I know some questions in here I didn't get to, but go to Tech. Some of the answers is probably go to Tech conferences to help in getting jobs, networking, meeting people. It seems like you may think it's useless, but like I didn't go to Tech conferences for a long time, and I regretted it when I went to the first one. And I was like, dang, man, like you meet so many people and like job opportunities will come from just natural, just meeting people. And so like sometimes the job opportunities come without an interview sometimes and so, yeah, it's crazy, man. But I'm not saying it happens like that all the time, but shoot, you just get to learn. So you get to build these relationships a lot deeper than just trying to like ping somebody on LinkedIn or whatever the case. And so networking is it sounds cliche, networking like Wayne just said on YouTube. Networking is like the number one way to get a job, man. If you can get a job through the networking, is it's the best way. So yeah, appreciate that, Wayne, man. I'll see you later, man. I appreciate you jumping on here. Interviews have gotten tougher. ChatGPT 5 has been acting better than Claude Sonnet 4. I mean, honestly, man, I've actually been having good results with ChatGPT 5 lately, man. So I agree with you there. But yeah, it does a lot of the heavy lifting now. You ever use Claude? Yeah, man. I think like AI's taking a first shot at almost all the code I write. Unless it's like a little one-liner thing I'm just tweaking. Like if it literally takes me more time to write out the prompt than it does for me to just fix the code, I still just fix the code. Because it's just stupid. Why would you write all this stuff out? Wait for the AI agent to do its thing, which takes a while in some of those, depending on what you're using. And when you could just fix it real quick, like that kind of stuff. Yeah. And some of these tools do have like the tab autocomplete that'll do it, but sometimes it don't know it. It still doesn't know what you're trying to do. So, anyway, I got a side project where I test the limits of a lot of these tools. You got a GitHub, man. I love to connect there. Yeah, man. It's shoot. I think it's Kelvin, my full name. Go to my like profile. I think you're on TikTok. Go to my profile, and it should be in the link in bio. That'd probably be the easiest way for you to get there. Whenever you get done or whatever. But just connect with me on TikTok too, man, and then you can find it there. But my name's Kelvin Graddick, so it's like just on GitHub like that. So yeah. But I think it's in my link in bio too. So you can just link to it. You ain't got to try to type in nothing. But yeah, anyway, same person. I appreciate all these comments, man. Some great insight there. What do you... let me see if I'm missing any other questions. I'm a beginner. What can I do to improve my problem solving? I'm a beginner in comp sci in college. What can I do to improve my problem solving? So if you're in college, I actually think it probably would, if you want to improve your problem solving, two things. It depends on what your goal. If your goal is to be more ready for getting jobs, I would say start doing the easy LeetCodes. That will help your problem solving with code. That will make you a better coder. If you start doing LeetCodes in school, I promise you, your computer science courses, you will start doing better. Because right now you're trying to learn how to code and become a strong coder. You're not really in school. They're not really so much worried about you building applications. At least that's what I heard. I ain't been in school in a long time, but I just watched one of my people that I watch content of a lot. He's in school right now, and he said it's still like that. And so, or a lot of people say that. Like, and but anyway, they're not really having you build. They're not really having you doing software development. Like, it's so different from the job what you're learning in school. You're learning more how to code, conceptual things about computer science, conceptual things about programming, but not actually software engineering. Like, you're not using source control. You're not like merging code with other people. You're not you're doing projects together. Sometimes you may be using, I don't know, but it's not at the scale as you would at a job. You're not building software the same way. You're not doing sprints. You're not doing like the software development life cycle. You may have a class that does it, but you're not doing it through your whole 4 years or 2 years of college. And so what I would say to become a stronger coder is, if you're trying to get a job, do some LeetCode, start to do data structures and algorithms. That will help you with your college courses, as well as help you learn how to code, like the concepts of coding. If your goal is more or less to become a better software engineer and get on the job skills, then I would start doing real projects. Like I said earlier, like start freelancing on your summers. Like I don't want to get in the way of your school though. Your number one responsibility is school. So you should be doing stuff to pass your classes first. So don't just don't wear yourself thin trying to do all your coursework and then do these side projects on the side. I would say wait till your summer break, wait till your Christmas break to like start working on some side projects and stuff to help you learn how to be a better software engineer. So anyway, I think I talked my voice all the way. My voice is just about to crack. How hard is to learn PHP programming in C++? PHP is pretty easy to learn because it's a scripting language. It does have some object-oriented principles and other paradigms in it, but you can write a script in PHP like pretty quick and have something productive, valuable. And C++ is a little harder. Like C++ is actually not the easiest language to start with, I would say, because you have to run it in an environment and you have to, like I said, it's a lower level language, so you have to worry about things that you don't have to worry about in other languages. And so, yeah, C++ is not the easiest language, but PHP is a lot more easy. KG, I'm hoping my side project can get me a nice gig later. Would love if you can check it out. Oh yeah. Since you connected with me on GitHub, then Terminal Jarvis. Okay, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, man, I'll check out your project. Are you saying they are lying on the internet? Hey, what's up, man? Danny, man, what's going on, man? Y'all gotta follow him, man. That's the man right there, man. I met him last year at Render. He said, but all these TikToks say you don't need school. Yeah, man. That I said that earlier in the stream. Like, everybody's just like, I mean, it's a lot of discourse going on about like, don't go to school, like don't go to college. But you really, college, if that's the way you learn, that's the way you learn, and that's what you need to do. You need to do what works the best. If you're not self-motivated, self-teaching is not going to work. Like, you're not going to be sticking to, you're going to stop coding. You're not going to be coding. You're going to be watching Netflix. You're not going to be doing the the course you bought. But sometimes you need to go to school for them to make you go to class, and the teacher to make you learn, and somebody you can go to office hours for, a community you can go to the computer lab and work with. Some people learn better like that when you are, and I know it costs a lot of money. But sometimes some people need to spend a lot of money. I needed to spend a lot of money. I remember when I was like in my junior year in college, I was kind of just floating through, not really learning, doing the bare minimum in my programming classes. And when I realized that I couldn't graduate on time, that's when something just switched. And I was looking at the price of every semester, and I was like, that's how much more money I'm going to owe if I have to stay in this school. And I did end up staying in the school. And so, but once I realized that, I was like, I'm not going to stay in no longer than I have to. And so sometimes, I mean, I'm not saying it's smart to go waste your money on college or whatever, but for me, it was worth it. It's paid itself 100-fold or whatever. So anyway, yeah, when are we gonna have you come to yeah, man, commit your code. So Danny has a conference, man. Commit your code. I need to be coming this year, man. I need to be coming this year. But I definitely want to come, man. And I would love to present. I would just love to just come to the conference, honestly, man. I should be coming this year, man. But I just got caught up with a bunch of stuff. But please check out Danny's conference, man. Like, he started his own conference. It's dope. Like, it's relatively cheap. I mean, it's just cheap, man. It's a great value for a conference. You get food, you get information, you get networking, you get everything. So, hey, I know I'm just plugging, just advertising, but I mean, this dude I met in real life. This is a dude that especially on like Twitter, man, and like, he's just awesome, man. He's like been an inspiration to me for a number of years. So, like, definitely check him out, man, for sure. Like, these are the, like, all these questions that are on here, this is the stuff that he answers and like helps with, and he has a great story too. And so, yeah, the job market is shit right now. Yeah, job market is pretty tough, man. Danny said, if you come to Dallas, I'll put you on the stage. Hey, man. Hey, don't threaten me with a good time, man. That's, hey. And I need to come out there, man. I really do. Yeah. And now I'm getting all excited, man. But yeah, anyway, yeah, the job market is pretty crazy right now, but Like, yeah, if you follow Danny, man, he talks about it a lot, man. He's like helping people get jobs all the time, give advice, and he posts every time people get jobs and things. It is harder now, but like I said earlier, some of the advice I gave earlier about how to try to stand out. Like, if you're not, like, in this time of AI, if you're not actually working on real projects along with however you're learning, whether you're in school, and I'm saying in school, wait till you have your off time. Like, don't let it affect your schoolwork. But if you're doing boot camps or you're doing self-teaching, you need to be doing projects that really can help your resume. Because, like, now they're not really hiring people. It's harder to find a job when you're like a new grad or you have no experience, basically, is what I'm saying. And so by doing these projects, and I'm not even saying projects, like actually doing like some freelancing, it actually is a way for you to kind of stand out, because it helped me like 10 years ago. And so I still think that rings true now. When you can't get your first job, just make your own first job. And then even if you got to do it for free, you don't have to mention it was for free, but actually set up, even if you got to set up a business or whatever you want to do, set up a contract with somebody with a reputable business. The more reputable, the better. And actually do some work for them and actually do the work and actually get the experience so that you can talk about it in the interview. And the other thing I think Wayne was on here saying, and Danny says it all the time, and a lot of the other people that I follow on social media, is networking, man. Like, now it's like you really got to get out there and go to these events. Like, I'm trying to go to, it's a meet up in Atlanta. I'm forgetting the name. I can't plug it because I forgot the name. But I used to not go to conferences. I used to not go to meetups and all that stuff. And then I didn't really think it was worth it. But man, just going to Render 3 years in a row, Render ATL, and then starting to try to, I met so many people, man. Like, over the course of 3 years, I met so many people that it's like, now it's like, it's hard to even walk around there and not see somebody and like talk to them. So it's just beautiful. And then, yeah, it's even been job opportunities come from the people. Once they see you like 3 years in a row, it's like when they need somebody, they just know who to come for. Like, they just like, hey, man, you looking for work? And I'm just like, I'm not even looking for work right now. But it's just good to know that I got these people in my corner. But you got to be willing to talk to people. But anyway, I digress. Like, just trying to get out there. Networking is a great thing. Like, because it's one thing going to these conferences and these meetups is going to expand your mind to what's out there, get you out of the silo that we all inevitably get into. And the other thing is, it's just going to open doors. Like, you just get out there, talk with people. It's going to help, man. I know it sounds cliche. I know it sounds like I'm just talking in circles, but I'm telling you, man, you got to go to these conferences, man. You got to get out into the world, because that's the big separator. Because what's happening is, like, it seems like you're going to go to these conferences, you're just going to get lost with all the people. But even if a conference has I think last Render had 5,000 or something people at it, that's nowhere near the amount of people that are actually out there looking for jobs. We're on the order of millions and millions or whatever. And so just by going to the conference, you're already standing out in like the 1%. And so you're getting in front of these. I just talked to this dude at Render the last time. He came to the first Render last year, his first Render, and interviewed with, they were like a big conference sponsor, Zillow. He interviewed with Zillow like at the conference. No, he talked to them at the conference and did a mock interview. No, did he do a mock interview or a real interview? He did a real interview, I think, with Zillow. I don't know. I think he just did a mock interview. I can't remember, but whatever. He first had his first interaction with Zillow people at the Render that he first went to. And then this year he came back to Render and he was with them. He was on the team. Like, he was with them, like, as they were coming to the conference to get more people. And so if that's not a success story of going to the conference, I don't really know what else is, and that's not the only story that I have. Like, it's a lot of people I've seen, like, from like 3 years ago. Now they're back at the conference working with the company, with one of the companies that they met at the conference the first year. And so anyway, somebody said, why don't you submit your solution? Oh, I think I took all the stuff off the screen. I already submitted the solution. It's already, my bad. It's already accepted. I'm just answering Q&A. So what I usually do, oops, I did not mean to do that. What I usually do is put this thing on the screen so y'all know what's going on. I just completed this coding challenge. I'm gonna find something fancier to do than this, but that's just to let people know. So anyway, man, it's 1:24. I got on here at 11. So I think this is my 2 hours and 30 minutes. I appreciate everybody that jumped on, man. I mean, it was so many people. Some person. I appreciate you jumping on. We're gonna stay connected. Shoot, man. Danny jumped on. Wayne jumped on. These are just some folks that I knew. My brother-in-law jumped on. Dr. Insano, I used to work with, jumped on. Boons, I think I remember you from before. Just trying to call out some names of people. Topher, I think I remember you. Yeah, you just had some great questions on here. Joshua, I appreciate the questions you had. Oh, yeah, and this A is Jacob. I appreciate the questions you had and comments. But yeah, I appreciate everything, man. I appreciate everybody that jumped on. YouTube, TikTok especially YouTube and TikTok. It's probably the most people. Even Instagram, a couple people jumped on. S Bargy, I appreciate you jumping on. I'm definitely on another platform. S Bargy. I'm sorry, on Instagram. I'm on all the platforms at the same time. So the comments I'm reading are mostly coming from TikTok and YouTube. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitch. Nothing happens on Twitch, man. I don't know what's up with Twitch. Like nobody watches programming stuff on Twitch, man. It's like 700 people watching programming content all across Twitch all day, which is crazy. So nobody's on your stream. But anyway, I'm on all these platforms. I say that to say that please switch to another platform. Find me there. It's KG.codes. KG.codes on every platform. Follow me. I'll follow you back if we have a conversation. Like, message me. Let's have a conversation if I didn't answer your question. I post content on all these different channels every couple days, like tech content, programming content, software engineering content, AI content. So you might like the content. Either way, just stay connected with me. Stay connected with each other. The conversations that I saw a couple going on, connect with each other. Yeah, let's just try to, keep growing in this field and embracing this AI and trying to make our way through this world that's, kind of being slowly taken over by AI. And just get to the money, just get to the skills, just get to, the success, to get to building apps. I'm also building a mobile app that I keep posting about. And so, yeah, anyway, yeah, I'm just on all these channels, man. If you want to watch me on a different channel than you were watching me today, you can find it and do that. And yeah, I appreciate y'all. Like, I'll probably be back on here at least in a week, maybe sooner. But other than that, I'll see y'all in the DMs or see you in my content in the comments or whatever. So I really appreciate y'all. Somebody had a crazy comment. Y'all funny, man. I ain't even gonna read that, but yeah, y'all funny. But anyway, yeah, I appreciate y'all. And yeah. I'll see y'all in the next video. I'm gonna go ahead and jump off.